Force will be with you, always.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Star Wars Alliance podcast, where I'm your host, Katie Gilstrap, and my co-host, Mr. Nathan Odinson, with me today.
How we doing, Katie? I'm glad to be back. I'm ready to talk the wars, and we're gonna jump into some exciting stuff here today.
Yes. So we're recording just a little news segment today. We did record a lot more news and a Clone Wars Season 7 review about 2 weeks ago, but we wanted to make sure we were caught up on news, so here we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got to keep the Geek Ultimate Alliance, the grand army of podcasters, up to date.
Absolutely. Because 2 weeks ago, like you said, we basically did the Clone Wars. We talked Season 7 of Clone Wars, and we dipped into a little bit of news, and you'll hear some rabbit holes that we went ahead and jumped down, but that'll all be in after the future us is here to tell you what's going on.
Yes. Before we get into it, though, we would like to say Episode 3, we will be covering everything canon Thrawn related, with special guest Taylor Field, from Geekverse. So if you have specific Thrawn related questions, want to get into it, make sure you send us those on our Twitter at Star Wars Alliance, and the username is Star Wars Alliance without the A in the wars. Don't forget it. Of course, I will leave everything linked below in case there's confusion. So.
Right. And we would also like to say that we are a part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network, where you can find a plethora of shows. Basically, anything you want to find, you can find it there. There's a Marvel Alliance with Travis and Chris. There's DC Alliance with the other Travis and Greg. The Superhero Discussions, which is also Travis and Greg talking right now, Superman the Animated Series. Slice of Film with Katie and guest talking about films from yesteryear, and basically do the same thing they want to watch, really. Am I right, Katie?
Yep. And that is on the sexiest of weeklies with this podcast. Gotta say it, otherwise Nathan's gonna be mad at me.
The sexiest of weeklies, the bi-weekly show.
The bi-weekly. And then you got your comic book show with Chris and guests on Wednesdays.
World's Finest True Believers. Yes, I forgot.
World's Finest True Believers Wednesdays, Marvel Mondays, Animated Fridays,
DC Tuesdays,
Film Thursday every other Thursday, and then we got to come up with something for Star Wars, but we'll get there. Right. We found womp rats for the rabbit holes.
We did.
Or chasing squirrels. Excuse me.
Yes, and a little thing, I am excited to talk about the new Thrawn, the canon Disney trilogy of books for, and really his appearances in basically all the new canon stuff with Thrawn, because he is, just from the Disney era, is one of my favorite characters, and I do believe I said that on the last show, but I'm ready to jump into it with Taylor, because I know he is a big fan of Thrawn, and I know you definitely got your Thrawn knowledge, and you can also bring up some of the old stuff. So I'm just ready to get into that juicy conversation, just see all our different perspectives on the character.
So speaking of Legends Thrawn, we're actually going to be doing our crossover episode. Chris Balga, the host of World's Finest True Believers, actually loved the Dark Empire comic, is what I believe it is. But I'm going to go over there for that. That'll be the first Star Wars comic I've ever read. Really? And then obviously, if you want to come over, you can too. And then he's going to come over for the Thrawn trilogy from Legends, and then also the Hand of Thrawn duology. And maybe we'll get just the trilogy, but I will definitely talk about the Hand of Thrawn duology, because that is a great setup, and I think something that the new Thrawn trilogy that Zahn is doing will tie into a lot. So that's that won't be episode 4, but it will be in the future.
Yes, it's coming. Fun fact, the only actual Star Wars comic I've read from cover to cover is the 2017 Charles Soule Vader run, which was fantastic. I was a page turner. I couldn't put it down, which I don't know, it was just excellent. I don't even know what it was about it, but it was excellent. All about Vader right after right after Revenge of the Sith, and about how he gets his red blade, and man, it's just a good story. Highly recommended.
So that's a great segue to lead us into our new news topics. Because I haven't read that comic, but I do plan on it because I've heard a lot of great things. But he is writing the very first book of the High Republic series, which did get delayed. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but it got delayed from September to January 5th, 2021. And IGN released a sneak peek of the first chapter today, on the day we're recording this, June 21st. So the chapter doesn't go into much. It's got like the prologue for the book in it, and then it's got like the first chapter. Doesn't do a whole lot. We don't see any Jedi involved. We do get a couple name drops. The Chancellor of the Era, I think her name's So. I don't have it pulled up in front of me. Let me do that.
Lynn's, it starts with an L. Lynn's, yeah, I don't have it pulled up in front of me either. And full disclosure, I didn't get a chance to read it. I just kind of quickly skimmed it because it's been a busy day. And everybody can relate to that, I'm sure.
Yes. So, okay, I've got it pulled up. Her name, Visionary Chancellor Lena So.
Yeah.
Leads the Republic from the elegant city world of Coruscant. It definitely kind of goes into the landscape of what the era is currently with the Outer Rim, Middle Rim, or Mid-Rim, and then Inner Rim. It talks about outreach programs because So wants to bring the Outer Rim into the Republic. So that's where we get the Starlight Beacon, which will come into play in later books.
This is the era of the Republic at the supposed peak, when the Republic is supposed to work and the Republic is supposed to be a well-oiled machine. And what we know from the Skywalker Saga, that the Sith have not been seen for, what does Mace Windu say in Episode 1? For 1,000 years?
Yeah.
1,000, something like that. So, if my prediction is we will meet the Sith Lord of this era, but the Jedi won't know about it, because as we know, there's always been a Sith Lord trying to shepherd and coach and steer, if you will, the Force into making them on top, which eventually Sidious does. But I've got a feeling that there will be some kind of big, bad, dark Sith Lord in the back, kind of pulling the strings on things that we will meet and come to know him, will be a household name, but maybe the Jedi that we're reading won't know about.
See, I'm still dead set that there won't be Sith in this, because
Really?
Yeah, and so I'm trying to remember what we talked about previously, but you know what? I'm just going to go into it. So
you guys will hear.
You're going to hear probably duplicate information, especially on this one.
Right.
But you know what?
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Yes. Because the specific tagline of the High Republic series is what scares the Jedi. Mm-hmm. And granted, Sidious may have scared Yoda, but if the Sith hadn't been seen in 1,000 years, and this is only a couple generations, or not many generations, but like in the middle, so not 1,000 years previously, but like you could see Sith pulling strings. But I really think that there's something else out there, which is where the Legends Yuzhan Vong is a great pull to bring in here.
That would be great. I would be all for seeing this, all for it. But you know what? You could be right. Maybe the Sith at this time are, just hanging out on an Outer Rim planet, just laying low, like on a beach planet, living it up. You could be right. I don't know, but you're right. I think it's gonna have to be something that draws the Jedi out in force. Mm-hmm. But just because, like, if you're right, like the Yuzhan. Now this is just me, whatever. But if the Yuzhan, let's just say it is the Yuzhan Vong, there's gonna have to be a catalyst for something to happen, and you could have the Jedi and these people on like the brinks of something, and you could just have that little Dark Lord behind the scenes, just give that little nudge. You know what I mean? To make it to where it is still, they're still pulling the strings like they always are, but they're not pulling the strings. You know what I mean?
Well,
they could give the push.
And that's completely possible. But so the chapter ends, it kind of ends with I think it's the Legacy. The Legacy Run is the name of the ship.
Okay.
And the Legacy Run is going through hyperspace, and they find something in their pathway in hyperspace. And the chapter goes into great detail about what can actually happen during hyperspace, and like the fact that, okay, if you run into something while you're traveling through hyperspace, if you're not careful, the destruction can end up from the outer rim all the way to the core worlds. So Soul does go into really great descriptions here. Like, I'm tempted to go pick up his other novel that he's written, because this is the first Star Wars novel he's written, but he's written a couple outside novels. But so the obstacle.
Like,
hang on, it's at the
just
top of the page.
Let's just chase a womp rat.
Chase a womp rat.
I'm curious to what he's written.
So hang on, let me find it. It was in the article. I know this. Oh,
I was gonna say I didn't know if you had it right offhand.
The Oracle year, in 2018.
Okay.
So
like
I'm
tempted.
His
Vader run was excellent. So if anybody wants to know what he can do in the Star Wars world, I would highly recommend getting that trade paperback, the 2017 Vader run from Charles Soule. It's like I said, I read it in a day. It was excellent. I thought so anyway.
So so something is in their path, and they find it with only 10 seconds to spare. Obviously, technology can change, because we do see some asteroids and everything. But what the Yuzhan Vong were good at was terraforming. And so, spoiler alert for the Legends, they actually pulled a moon on top of Chewbacca. And that was their catalytic event in the Legends run to get people amped into it and say, why? A lot of people also hated it.
Yeah, but I heard there's a lot of people who were out on Legends. As soon as they dropped a moon on Chewie, they were like, I hate this, and they were out of there.
Yeah.
But it's easier. A little fun fact and a little peek behind the curtain, guys. The reason why you kill a character like a off when you're writing a novel is because it's hard to put Wookiee dialect in there to make any kind of coherent sense. So it's easier just to kill them and get the people that speak English. I know that sounds terrible, but that's the truth. That's the peek behind the curtain, guys.
Yes, but it was also there to like change things up. So, but yes, completely behind
two
the
birds,
scenes.
one stone. 2 birds, one stone. You're right.
But the fact of the matter is with the droids that they had on that ship, it was hard to. They were constantly making changes to the path. So the 10-second pathway, and this chapter's on IGN for anyone who's interested.
Yes.
The 10 seconds that they had to avoid the impact, the captain, Hedda Cassette, actually avoids it, but the ship explodes on its own. So what do we currently know that throws an object into the way of ships? And
in a hyperspace lane? I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I mean stuff like asteroids, and then the animals from like the Rebel series that could travel through hyperspace. Like,
yes,
in those cases, I think your droids are going to calculate for those.
Right, and we also saw, and I believe it was in Clone Wars where we saw like the end of a dogfight as they jumped into hyperspace and the ship gets hit and they get sucked out, but then you're just out there in uncharted, space, uncoordinated. You don't know where it's at. But I want to say there's a Clone Wars episode where they're in hyperspace and they get shot out and they abruptly shoot out into the side. But that's nothing, like you said, an obstruction of view, or like how do you even whip a rock or a boulder or something into a hyperspace lane, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something that they can't calculate for.
Yeah. But who pulls down a moon on top of a planet that's been orbiting there for goodness knows how long? I'm just saying, everything kind of lines up in my book.
You could be right, because we do know they've been cherry picking from the stuff that they want. That is a fact. Like through the entire sequel trilogy, they cherry pick what they want from the expanded universe and the Legends material. Now I'm sold on it, Katie. You got me sold. I hope that's what they do go with.
I hope so, but unfortunately, we aren't going to know for 6 months.
about the time of my birthday, they'll be dropping that novel finally, unless it gets moved again. Because isn't this
Oh
the
no,
second
it
time
was
it's moved?
originally supposed to come out around your birthday. Now it's supposed to come out January 5th, 2021.
Oh God, they pushed it back. Oh God, yeah, they did. Okay, you're right. So yeah, I'm getting confused. I know they've moved it, or there's been yeah. Well, to hell with that. Took away my birthday present. Mayholes. Oh well.
We get it. We do. But you know what? Now's a great time to talk about what actually comes out on your birthday, or close to it. You know what it is? Star Wars Squadron.
Are you agreed like Xbox kind of forced EA and Lucasfilm to kind of push that out before they were really wanting to? Are we in agreement with that? Because yeah, I was gonna say because it was the Xbox store, Microsoft, or whatever they call it, that had a little thing on there for pre-orders that you could pre-order the game. People were like, "What the hell is this?" And they were taking screenshots and get out there, and then it mysteriously disappeared. And then like a couple hours later, they were like, "Surprise! Here it is!"
Surprise!
So, I'm pretty sure Xbox is the one that kind of twisted their arm into releasing that early. Either way, I don't care because man, that trailer you look like you are in the cockpit of an X-wing or a TIE fighter.
Yes, and they're gonna enable people to do like the power management of everything. Like you're gonna get down and dirty into the controls, not just hey, come here and fly and then shoot. You're gonna supposedly you're gonna have power over like shields, your engine capability. Like I know you hear Han say all the time, "Put all we got into the back reflectors." Like it looks like you're gonna have the opportunity to actually do that.
God, if I'm understanding correctly, you can almost overheat and burn your motor. You know, your motor's up out there. So, like it looks like it's like if you get hit, you got to try to get your droid to patch up your hole. Like it looks like you're gonna be really in there. And if you get hit and you're just jumping along, then your friends can come and protect you until you can limp by and fix your ship to get back out there in the fight.
Yep.
Oh, and they said that it's going to be across platforms, I do believe. If I understand correctly, you should be able to play this If I got a PlayStation and you got an Xbox, we should still be able to play together.
Yep.
And that goes with PC as well. And that is a big game changer for the PlayStation side.
Yep.
Because I know that they weren't. I'm pretty sure Xbox was doing that for a while, but I'm pretty sure I could be wrong. I'm not a huge gamer, guys. So if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that this is one of the first times that PlayStation is going to let you cross platform.
I'm not a huge gamer either, but I believe you're correct in this regard. But no, yeah. So you probably caught more on the gameplay than I did. What caught my eye was Harrison Dula. You get to talk
Wedge Antilles.
Yep, Wedge Antilles. Which, and fun fact, I think this has been addressed before, but my dog's name is Antilles. One of my dog's names. And then you have, oh my gosh, Ray Sloan!
Yes, and please tell me more about Ray. Like you and there was a couple other people who were really excited about this, and I know nothing of the character. I've heard the name, but I know nothing of the character. Where does she originate from?
I believe her first appearance, and hang on, let me go grab the book, because I have the book on my shelf.
Oh. All right, gotcha. I'll play elevator music for us. Let's have our hold music. Woo! Got some storms brewing around my house, guys. Things are rumbling.
I got storms brewing around my house, too.
It's a rumbling outside.
Yeah. Okay, so I have both books. Okay. Supposedly, she is in A New Dawn by John Jackson Miller, which is a Rebel prequel
Peril and
book.
Kanan, right?
It's got,
okay.
Yep. Hera and Kanan in it. I could be wrong on that, but I know she's in another book besides the Aftermath Trilogy by Chuck Wendig. And I think what people said was it was A New Dawn. So I think she's in here, but don't quote me on that. Because I haven't read it yet, even though I have the book on my bookshelf. And then she is definitely in the Aftermath Trilogy by Chuck Wendig. And I do plan to go over this trilogy at some point because I need more motivation to read it. Because it is not one of my favorite trilogy books or Star Wars books at all.
A lot of people have said that, honestly.
But
I
it
think
introduces
there's
a lot of great characters.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just talking shit.
Well, it's got a lot of great characters in it. It's got Ray Sloan. It goes a lot more into her character. It's got Wedge Antilles in it. It talks about Nora Wexley, and Snap Wexley, who is actually present in the sequel trilogy.
Yes, because Snap
mhm.
is Wedge is like the stepfather of Snap, right? Am I thinking of that
Yep.
right? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he's the stepfather. So he does that, and that leads me into where, okay, so we're gonna go into Thrawn in episode 3. For episode 4, we have a couple options. We have Alphabet Squadron, and then we have the Aftermath Trilogy. So whichever one, or if there's a specific character you want us to go into, again, let us know. Tell us what you want. Because we got to plan these things in advance.
Right. I mean, we could definitely do an episode just flying by the seat of our asses, but we like to have a little planning in.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, man, and with that Aftermath trilogy, or those Aftermath books, that's what I've heard is that like they really weren't the best, except you don't they touch on Jakku, like the Battle of Jakku, and then we find out that Star Destroyer gets down there where Rey is. Like I said, I haven't heard the best things about it, but this does make sense because the game takes place immediately, or not immediately, but right after Return of the Jedi. So I'm assuming these are almost like what the Mando's dealing with, and these people, like, whatever forces they have, they basically turn into a warlord. Unless this literally picks up, 45 seconds after Luke kills the Empire, or kills the Emperor, or Vader does or whatever. But you know what I mean. Unless it picks up right after that, and this is the remnants of the battle still going on, I've got to assume that each one of these commanders, almost like Moff Gideon, is just kind of immediately going into warlord mode. But that's, like you said, the Aftermath. That makes a lot of sense because the Aftermath obviously takes place in the aftermath of Return of the Jedi. And this game looks like you're trying, the New Republic, because they call it the New Republic. So, okay, I guess it's got to be sometime after it is going to go and take out the remnants of the Empire. So, like these warlord guys. So, I think there's real potential there for this to cross into everything, really. Which I'll give Disney credit. They've been doing good about that. When they said everything's canon, they meant it, better or worse.
We would disagree with that because the Resistance Rising book
movie. Yeah. Well, like Lucas always used to say, though, it's movie canon. Movie canon trumps everything.
Yeah.
Before it was just now. So basically, your hierarchy is movies, TV, probably video games, and then books. Unfortunately, and comics are underneath that. Unfortunately, so if a comic does something and the guys in the game want to do something different, they're gonna let them do it just because of the hierarchy. But if the film does it, like, that is the gold standard of it. Doesn't matter what anything else said because we saw it on screen, for better or for worse.
Yep, unfortunately. But
unfortunately,
so to what I can tell from Twitter's knowledge is that this happens between Aftermath 1 and Aftermath 2, which is Life Debt, which is where they go and Han and Chewie and Nora and crew go and rescue the Wookiees.
Oh, perfect.
I haven't managed to get in that one yet. I have finished Aftermath, but Life Debt I haven't gotten into yet. So because
there's probably a reason for that, Katie. Like I said, there's when people are ranking their books of the new canon. I hate to say it, but the Aftermath trilogy is never one of the higher ones.
No, they're not.
Like, well, I mean, if you love it, like speaking to the listener, if you love it, that's fine. It doesn't matter if we like it, if we don't like it, if the whole world doesn't like it. If you like it, it's totally fine. It doesn't matter what we say. But if we're going with the census, that is typically one of the lower ranked books / trilogies, and I think it's got a big reason to do with why. I mean, despite what he wants to say, it was a lot of things, but I think one of the main factors of why Mr. Wendig is no longer employed with Lucasfilm is because it just didn't do what people thought it was going to do.
Yep.
So there's the sidebar chasing womp right there. I was
just saying. No, so that's kind of the characters you'll see in that. So the characters in Star Wars Squadron, correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, but I think they're completely customizable. Is that right?
That was my assumption as well, is that you could customize your character as you went, and you can customize, like, let's just say you're playing as the Empire, because they did say in the game you'll switch back and forth between New Republic and Empire, so you won't just get to be able to pick good and bad. You're going to play on both sides and kind of find out what both sides are fighting for, which will lead into another topic here before long. But anyway, we'll get there. But you're going to play on both sides, but you will be able to customize whatever shit. Like, let's just say if you're on the New Republic side and you're in the A-Wing, like, you should be able to make it blue or green stripe or, whatever you want to do to it. And the same with, like, if you're in the TIE Interceptor, you should be able to make small modifications the more you go through and the more experience you get, is my understanding.
Right. I think that's what's happening. This will be cool because it's gonna utilize a lot of Operation Cinder, but also I think it's gonna tie into a lot of Alphabet Squadron as well.
Yes. Which, on the other hand, is one of the books that I've heard is highly recommended out of the new canon.
So that'll probably be episode 4, unless there's a strong difference of opinion. But that one I'd rather read than Aftermath again. Anyways, so with that regard, gosh dang it.
Keeping with the book theme.
Well, no, Star Wars Squadron comes out October 2nd. Is that correct?
Yes.
October 2nd.
Yes. That's my birthday present.
Yes. It'll be mine as well, along with Skywalker Saga Lego Edition.
Oh, yes, the game. Yes.
That comes out October 20th. And I'm super excited for it. Because that is the game of my childhood right there.
Right.
So back on the books, the From a Certain Point of View 40th anniversary celebration of A New Hope was highly praised. And it's only fitting with Empire Strikes Back celebrating its 40th anniversary this year that the Del Rey team does another one. So this year they're doing From a Certain Point of View Strikes Back, and that will be coming out November 10th. For anyone who doesn't know much about it, basically those books are from a certain point of view. It takes 40 background characters and it tells you about the scene from their perspective.
40 authors, 40 different stories, 40 different perspectives.
And like one of the best stories I read was by Ray Carson. I'm fairly certain. I will correct myself in the notes below if I'm wrong. But Ray Carson wrote the scene in A New Hope where Luke and Uncle Owen are buying the droids from the Jawas. And they picked the red R2 unit originally. And R2 speaks to the red droid and says, I have a mission. I must go with them. I must see it to fruition. I can't go back with the Jawas. And I'm paraphrasing, obviously. The story is very beautiful.
Sure.
And the red droid, as he's rolling off to go with the Skywalkers, he blows his motivator intentionally and like basically just blows him off.
This R2 unit's got a bad motivator.
I know.
Can't you hear whiny Luke saying it now?
But it's such a beautiful story, and I cried so much reading it. So I'm excited to see what they pull out of this one.
Fun fact. I have not read it, full disclosure, and honestly, I probably don't intend on reading it because, first of all, like, let's just get the little R2s that you just went on. I like it personally. I like it better, the little mystery, and it's almost like the Force is working in mysterious ways. That R unit was gonna go because it's just a droid, and it was just gonna go do what it was told, but it just happened to blow up because the Force works in mysterious ways, and that's how R2 got to get in there and get his mission. It's just all just not a random series of coincidences, but like a higher force almost kind of guiding and opening pathways to go through there. I personally don't need to know that what the janitor on the Death Star thought about the Empire, about how he thought they were a great group of guys, and somebody made fun of his shoes, and that Lord Sidious looked at him one, or Emperor Palpatine looked at him one time, and he thought he smiled, and but I don't care. I don't care. And that's just me. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't need to know what Jawa number 7 was thinking while he was sitting in the back watching these guys, or the torture droid in the Jawa sandbar. To me personally, I don't need all of that stuff, but I did hear that there's some good stories in there, and that they are for people that are like you, who do, you know what I mean? Like, I like a little bit of mystery. Like, I mean, I guess they can give me a story about the Max Rebo band if they want. Or, give me Size Snoodles and tell me about how her and Zero used to date, and now she's singing in Jabba's palace. Like, I mean, if you're in the canteen and stuff, if you want to do that, sure. I personally don't need any of that. Like, I don't need to know what the Mouser droid was rolling around thinking on the Death Star. Like, to me personally, whatever.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to bring you down. I'm just saying.
No, you will not bring me down about this because I'm really excited. But there's a lot of great authors attached to this one. A lot of representation in it.
Big timers.
Yeah. They got Gary Whitta back from Rogue One. He wrote one for the New Hope version, but there's a lot of representation, a lot of people of color authors in there, a lot of female authors in there, which I'm excited about.
Diverse voices everywhere, and that different backgrounds, skin colors, like creeds, religions. Yeah, there's a lot of different people coming to put their heads together to play in this universe, and it's all for a good cause because it's going to provide more books to people. All the profits are going to a book charity. I think it's First Book, and Disney's which is awesome.
Yeah. And before anyone says anything, because I did see this on Twitter, the First Book did the same thing where the authors all donated their profits from the book to the exact same charity. And so it's just it's to give books to people, and it makes a lot of people happy. Like,
who need them.
Yeah, and from a certain point of view, A New Hope is one of the most talked about canon books.
Yes.
So
I think I am all for supporting it, just because I am a big proponent of, putting a physical book in front of a kid again, and like getting these kids access, even if no matter what way, shape, or form, getting kids access to books to actually, even if they're going to stare at a screen, like let's make it a Kindle or something so we could flip a page, or putting an actual book in their hand, and let's get them away from YouTube and. Well, basically YouTube's all kids watch anymore, but you know what I mean. Like, let's get them off of that shit and playing games on iPads and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe if like you said, if all their proceeds go out and they donate to this, if it gets 2 kids reading, then I think it's probably worth it. You know what I mean? Just to get them a little more insight and get them.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
That's my opinion too. My biggest love as a kid was reading. Like, I tell people, honestly, when I was homeschooled, I read 300 to 400 books a year because that's what my curriculum allowed for. But
God, that's why you're so weird. Nah, I'm kidding.
But that suits my love for Star Wars. I wrote my fan fiction. I got into the Star Wars Legends, like everything. So I would not be where I am without books. And
I wish somebody would have put a book in my hand as a kid. Unfortunately, I was always in the woods with a stick and a thing, or Steve. But either way, like I'm a proponent. Like, let's get kids to read more, or at least give them the opportunity to read more.
Yep.
And like I said, who knows? Maybe this next one comes out and I hear so many good things about it, and I'm like, fine, I need to know what that janitor on the Death Star. I really do need to know what he was talking about, and why he likes it. It could happen. Like, maybe Size Snoodles does come out with a story in there, and I go, you know what? I really need to know just how she puts her makeup on to get out there and sing for all those guys. Like, maybe there's always a chance.
Always a chance. But you have. So just to give a perspective on the New Hope one, you've got a Tarkin story, you've got a story from Breha Organa, you actually have one from Boba Fett, Greedo, Qui-Gon Jinn, Beru, and yes, Ray Carson did write the one about the red droid. R5D4 is his name.
R5, yes.
So yeah, a lot of interesting characters. I think you've got the Obi-Wan Kenobi perspective from his side of the fight with Darth Vader where he dies.
Ooh, hey, spoilers. Jeez.
Oh, sorry.
God, maybe these people didn't know that Obi-Wan has passed away. I mean, come on, spoiler alert for a movie from 1977. Okay. I am.
But the Wills are also
I'm looking
in it.
forward to. Hey, while we're talking. Wait, what?
The Wills.
The Wills are in the book
from the Clone Wars season 6.
Okay, I might have to look up that one just to find out a little bit. I just want to know more information about it. Now that chapter I might need to look up and just read it. I got a question about a book while we're talking. I don't know if you've read it or not, but have you read the book Catalyst, the one that's supposed to come before Rogue One?
No, it's on my list.
I've heard good things about it, but I don't know anybody. There's very few people that have read it, but the people that have said it was a pretty damn good book, and I just didn't know if maybe you'd read it or not because it's one that I'm considering kicking around very soon.
I have it. It's another one of those books where they were having like a Star Wars paperback sale, and they were like $3, and so I picked up a bunch of times.
Yes.
So it's sitting on my bookshelf. Just haven't read it. Tarkin is another good one.
Oh, because see, I love that character. I do love that character, but I've been scared that they're gonna like, I don't know, like they're gonna creep him up and make him like Weinstein-y or something. Like I don't want that. I want Tarkin to just be like this evil prick who just ruled with an iron fist and is all about getting them credits for himself. The credits and the rank. You know what I mean? He wants the notoriety and the rank.
Yeah, he's badass. So highly recommend any Star Wars new canon book that has a character as the title, or I can't say one word title because Aftermath is a one word title. But anyone that like Phasma, Tarkin, those are all really great books. Thrawn, while it's not completely about Thrawn, it's still a very good book. So all of those, highly recommend. Definitely. But hey, we could even read Catalyst together. We could have like a 5-minute book club each episode on Catalyst, and we just go for it. I don't know. We could do it. That is something we could kick around. If there's any listeners out there who would like that, let us know. Unless we're just speaking into the void, nobody hears. In that case, hello. I know we've said it a dozen times by now, but hey, we just want to know what y'all want. So exactly. So that kind of gets us from a certain point of view, FACPOV, as it's kindly known in the acronym world. The last item not the last item. Jedi Temple premiered 2 weeks ago, on June 10th. Yes. That has Ahmed Best in it. We do talk about it in the past, but you will hear it in the future. Yes. But Ahmed Best is in it. I did not get a chance to check it out, unfortunately. I didn't either, but I've heard it is perfect for kids. I heard it is if you have a little one that you want to try to help them get them into Star Wars, or just give them that little jump, or they really like Star Wars, I have heard that it is doing exactly what it should do. It's trying to bring kids in who think it is cool. That's what I've heard too. So definitely check it out. And obviously give Ahmed some love because he deserves it. He had a rough go of it for a long time because people were just such assholes. I mean, just to the point where he had some dark demons that he was able to beat and overcome. And look at him now. He is a damn Jedi teaching the next generation, which I think that's awesome. And then the last thing we have is the cancellation of Celebration, which does not deserve a celebration. But but we knew it was coming. Basically, we knew it was coming. Foregone conclusion. Yeah, damn Corona. That there has not been any rumors of any online happenings this year. I know DC's having their fandom on August 22nd. I don't think Star Wars will. I don't think they will either. Which it sucks.
Well, because I mean, it does suck, but like, right? So like, celebrations were like they had to have one last year because you Rise of Skywalker, end of the Skywalker Saga. They had something big to promote. They had well, they obviously didn't make action figures. Toy shelves are bare when it comes to Rise of Skywalker figures. I don't know what the hell Hasbro doing, but they had shirts and they had other merchandise and stuff they were trying to push out there with it. So they had to have that. And now they're going to get into this routine where when they cancel this, they said it's not coming back until 2022 because they're going to alternate years with D23, which is like the Disney show.
Was that the official announcement?
Well, that's if you read in, it's not the official announcement. But I've gathered is that the reason why they're not coming is they're going to start alternating in D23, which is smart because right now the only real thing they would have to promote is like you could bring the Mandalorian cast out there. You could bring back some of the people from the Rise Sky. Like you could bring John Boyega up there and be like, hey, how about it suck? Are you ever going to come back again? And you can be like, oh, hell no, I'm not coming. You know what I mean? But I mean, they don't really have. They've got this new High Republic thing to push out. But I'm sorry, even I know they brought in concept artists and I know they had some music and stuff to go in, but the book series does not warrant a Star Wars celebration, not to that size and magnitude. Now, next and with the Mandalorian, like we know it's coming and we can start to get little pieces of it and we can get a trailer and do that. They could bring that too, but I've got a feeling that it'll be timing that when they do the alternate years. It'll be right about the time Taika Waititi probably will have at least some concept or maybe an actor hired to be, because I'm not sure how deep in with all this whole goddamn COVID thing has just really jacked everything up. I'm pretty sure he should be ramping up for Thor: Love and Thunder soon, which would have given him plenty of time to get that done and then come over here to the new Star Wars project, all while taking time to interject into another episode of The Mandalorian. But with all that being said, with all this being pushed back and it going, man, like you got to have something to bring. And I think that's why they were trying to wait and they're hoping to wait. Because like I said, I'm sorry, but I don't think you just push it out with a book series. Now, if they were going to come out and be like, here's Rosario Dawson. She is Ahsoka. She's going to have a 4-season show with a movie coming up. Like, then they lose their minds. You know what I mean? They'd be going. I don't think they have anything like that right now. So they're perfectly fine with skipping it and not doing an online interaction thing like DC's doing. As soon as DC found out Comic-Con was done, they're like, well, shit, let's get our ducks in a row and we'll make something for these fans because we do have stuff this year that we want to put out there and get people excited for. And unfortunately, Star Wars has The Mandalorian and this book series, which, yes, like people for like you and me, but, my buddy, Joe Blow, just as a casual watcher, he's going to like, books, what the hell do I care about, and he's going to walk away about with that. He's not going to give a shit. Now, the game might get him, but you get what I'm saying? Like, they don't have anything big to push or say, surprise, you're not bringing Ewan McGregor out to be like, look, Kenobi's coming back, and people lose their mind again because you've already done that. You know what I mean? I think it is a smart play. Give time to get all their ducks in a row, figure out exactly what this next phase in the Star Wars saga is going to be, and be prepared to melt people's faces off when they do come out with it.
Well, and I get that, but you've got Kenobi right now is supposed to come out in 2022.
Yes.
The Cassian Andor show, I believe, is supposed to come out next fall, which is probably not going to happen now, so it's probably going to get pushed back. So they haven't even started filming on that.
At least they got casting done. At least there's some casting in there.
There is casting. But at the end of the day, you've got those two shows to promote next year. And now, granted, maybe they might return back to the San Diego Comic-Con. I do know that they are doing a couple publishing panels for the online San Diego Comic-Con. So that's a complete possibility. But
I forgot about that. You're right. They are doing that. They are. I don't.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that let's just say they really do get some stuff together and they go, hey, we really need to get this out. They could still push out a D23 because it's all under the Disney umbrella that way.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? We'll know when you know.
Yes. Yeah, and if we know before you, which is highly unlikely, we'll let you know.
Tell you. Yeah.
But I think that's all we have for news until we get to the past version of ourselves in about 10-ish minutes. But we're going to take a quick ad break and we'll be right back for some fan questions. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And we're back! Giving my best Harry Carey impression, guys.
So we have a couple questions from fans.
What? Buddy. I'm listening. Sorry, Gay, go ahead. No, you're good. My kid's just talking right now. Sorry, guys, you're gonna have to the kid. Sorry. Go ahead. Let's go with the questions.
Sorry. Okay. So who asked this question? Travis Hines, the host of PC Alliance and the superhero animated show, said if you were both Sith Lords, what would your names be? And I picked Imperia, which is kind of Latin for power, which is kind of the trend.
Man, see, I have kicked and cracked and scraped at this, and I'm just not that goddamn creative. Like, I just want to be like, like Darth the Nihilist. Like, I don't even know. If I was gonna be a Darth, like, it'd just be Darth Destruction or something, because I'd just be a force of goddamn nature and going at it. If I was gonna go to the dark side, I would go to the dark side. Like Anakin, I'd go full on Vader and just embrace killing children and stuff. If I was gonna go that way, like, I'd just go be fully immersed. But as our friend, they also asked a question later, Chris Balga said, I always see myself as more of a Jedi than I did a Sith, or maybe a scoundrel. So it's really hard for me to think of a Sith name. But I would say like Darth Annihilus or something. But isn't there already one of them from Legend? I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember that.
I don't know, Travis Hines. I know that's super boring, and you were expecting better of me. But I racked and racked my brain, and I'm just not that smart, guys. I'm really not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Taylor said Darth Cathus, and Taylor, I just want to know why. So
me too. I saw that too, and I was like, but why?
So Taylor
could have looked it up, but I want him to tell us.
Yes, I could have looked it up too, but Taylor, we want you to tell us. End of story. The next question is from Brintac Prime, who
host of Fans Without Borders and Marvel Squadcast.
Yep. Great guy. He said, who had the best non-boring lightsaber? Boring meaning single blade with nothing special like the bulk of the Jedi use. And I have to just say, Dark Ray and the Jedi Guards with the hinge lightsaber, it just looks so badass. Like, I want one. I don't know how good it would be if you had it hinged together instead of in the dual phase, but
also, Pong Krell had one too, which was the first time I remember seeing it in Clone Wars Season 4, the Darkness on Umbara. When General Pong Krell comes out and the clones they got to take his ass down because he's a dick.
Oh, yeah!
That was the first time I ever saw two lights that were flipped on a hinge, because I went, what the hell is that? I rewound it when I was watching it. Yeah. He had two of them.
Yeah.
But if I've got to say that just a boring standard blade, like, I know it's just standard, and we'll get there later. But like, if you look, when he carries two of them, when Revan carries his purple and his red lightsaber, like the one hilt looks like so. To the purple one looks real medieval and almost looks like a tower turret or something. Like, it just, I love the look of it, the way the handle shaped it looks real medievally. And then his other one's just like a real badass one. But if we got to go like that. I would say I love Dooku's curved hilt. I've always loved the curved hilt, which means I like Asajj with her curved hilt, and Ahsoka later on when she gets it. But Asajj, like I said, Ventress, she's got good ones, and then Savage Opress, I like his double bladed one when he gets it out later on.
Yeah.
And that's just the ones that I can think of.
If I had to pick like which lightsabers I would hold, though, I would go with the Shoto and the single blade, like Ahsoka. Like, that would be my stance on holding lightsabers.
Oh, if I'm going, I'm going straight up Dooku style with the curved hilt. I'm gonna do his lightsaber fighting where it's just the one-handed fencing and you never lose control and you're always controlling the fight and just walking about. I know a lot of people shit on Dooku But first of all, how dare you to the great Christopher Lee? Second of all, if you haven't seen Clone Wars, like he really fleshes out the Dooku character.
Yep.
There's so much more about him and his regal stance and like why he's the way he is and just his fighting prowess. Like he takes on Maul and Oppress, or he takes on Ventress and Oppress one-handed and just takes them, just stepping back, wham, wham. I don't know. I really like Darth. I really like Lord Tyrannus. Lord, Count Dooku. He is one of my favorites. I love his lightsaber hilt and I love his fighting style, which I know is a little bit off the topic, Brent, but you got us going down a womp rat hole. We're going to go down it.
But if you want more on Dooku, highly suggest Dooku Jedi Lost by Cavan Scott.
Yes.
Great audio drama right there. Great book.
Yeah, you get a lot more detail about him. I forgot about that. That fleshes out a lot of his backstory.
Yeah. It goes into Asajj really well too. Sorry.
Yes.
Womp
yes,
rat.
it does. Womp rat, yeah.
The next question is from Chris Balga, who's the host of Marvel Alliance and World's Finest True Believers. Why do I always do that? He said, "What are 3 characters from the Legends canon do you want to be brought over into this proper canon? The new canon."
I'll let you go first.
You gonna let me do that?
I'm gonna let you go first, and I'll tell you mine.
So mine would obviously be top 1, Mara Jade. She's married to Luke. I mean, who didn't know it? If you really know me, did you really expect anything less? But Mara Jade, she was married to Luke in Legends canon. She doesn't have to be though. She's such a great character.
No.
Really would have worked well in the as like a Leia replacement, I think, in the Skywalker Saga if they had delayed the film from its release date. But they didn't.
Sure. Right. You're right. That could have worked out perfectly.
Yeah. The next one on my list is Jagged Fell. And
tell me more.
So he actually marries Jaina Solo in Legends. But he was raised by the Chiss. And with the Chiss Ascendancy Trilogy coming
that's
in.
Awesome.
You have a great tie-in opportunity there. He's I believe he's the nephew of Wedge Antilles. So it's got a little bit of background there, but basically the Eli Vanto of the Legends canon would be his dad. So
that's all. Okay, that is awesome. I love Vanto from the new canon.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of a tie-in there. I think it would work well. He's a great fighter pilot. Definitely has a lot of Antilles in him. But he's a great leader too. He ends up leading. He becomes the new emperor for the later canon, which reignites the empire, basically. So really great, interesting character.
He's the spark that lights the fire, that sends the signal, that blows smoke signals to the Empire, or whatever Ryan Johnson said. Only Last Jedi.
Yeah, but he ties into the next one. He appears during the Yuzhan Vong crisis, which I've already spoken about and will speak more on further. But the Yuzhan Vong would be my third pick, especially with the High Republic coming in. I have a couple others that I've selected. You can find them all on my personal blog under my works at slicerscribbles.com. I had a full list on this. I fleshed out.
Okay. With myself, of course, number 1, it's got to be Darth Revan. I want to bring Revan in. I've said it before that since no matter what you think of the Rise of Skywalker and Palpatine coming back and Rey and all them, they did introduce the Force, the dyad, which had not been seen for millennia. As the Emperor said, I think Revan and Bastila should be the dyad. That is the reason why she can bring him back when he goes full dark side. She can bring him all the way back to the good side. I just think that you could work that into the canon. You could almost have Romeo and Juliet, but you know what I mean, like in the Star Wars universe. But it's just, you know what I mean, like you could take the blueprint from the games and just pull that out and take the skeleton of that and really flesh it out in the way that you wanted to. So Revan is my absolute number one, and then Bastila, I count one. And if you're gonna do Revan, we got to bring Malik, because like let's tell his story, and it doesn't have to be the same. Like you don't have to put them exactly the same, but like let's have those friends together, and then turn, you know what I mean? They're great friends, and then to Sith Lords, and then the one goes, you know what I mean? And then when the back, like you got to fight your friend. Like, yes, give it to me, give it all to me. I'll take it. And then the next one is like okay, so I went more than 3 because I'm a cheater, and I'm sorry. But I want to, from the old games and stuff, just from the little bits that I played. I've never read anything about them, but from the little bits that I played, and you can watch some badass cutscene videos on YouTube. But I want the twins. I want the Sith twins. I want Arcane, and Thexan, or they have Thexan, however the hell you say that. But they were the old Sith Emperor's twin kids, and they grew up together. They were killing, they were kicking ass. He trained them good. They were all together. And then the one gets pissed off the other one and ends up killing him and becomes like the true one. I don't know. Like I think you could do those two excellently. And like just to bring it up a little more, like let's bring in Darth Zana, Bane's apprentice, because she is a badass in that Bane trilogy. Woo, like she is scary badass, and especially when Bane and her work together in like that second book. Ooh, man. I think she would be great too. That's kind of like my little cheat there.
So the Bane trilogy is the only Legends like pre-Galactic Civil War that I actually read. I have a lot
Excellent
of them.
books.
But I mainly got into the Legend stuff after Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
So that's kind of where I am. And if you want to see my bookshelf, y'all, I will more than happily send you a picture of my bookshelf. Because, man, do I love the Legends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think Xana, even if you don't bring her in as Bane's apprentice, and you just want to bring her in, like let's just say they want her to be the next big bad guy. Like as long as they get the characterization right, like right on, let's go. Because I just love the way she was written. She was just she's a different kind of Sith Lord, you know. She's like happy-go-lucky most of the time, and goes out and like still has fun for herself, but then like in the drop, I don't know. I really liked her characterization. I think she could be good in live action.
Yeah. So the next question comes from Taylor, who's a host of the Geekverse podcast with Travis Snell and that group. He said, if you were the last Jedi post-Galactic Civil War era, what would you do? Knowing what happened in the Clone Wars, Sidious, the whole shebang. So you go with this one first.
If it were me, I think knowing everything that I know from Clone Wars, the Galactic Civil War, Rebels, everything, I think the first thing I do is set out to find one of the old ancient Jedi temples, whether it be on Lothal or Jeddah or anywhere. Okay, it's not Jeddah, it got blown up, but you know what I'm saying. Like one of the old Jedi temples, and I try to communicate with the Force Ghost. I need the council to come to talk to me, figure it out, and then after that, you go on the search for the most dangerous thing that you don't want the remnants to get from the old empire, like the Sidious had hidden, and then after that, you just along your way you try to rebuild that Jedi Order, but not instantly going around stealing kids, but along your trail. Like I said, I'm a believer, and then the Force will kind of guide you. So if you go out there and you're on your mission, like let's just say, for shits and giggles, we'll say you're looking for a wayfinder, if it was before all that, and you're looking out there for a wayfinder, a Sith holocron or something, and along your way you run into somebody that's Force sensitive and kind of needs that guidance, and that's how I would personally start slowly building the temple up to where maybe if I'm the last Jedi, I get myself an apprentice, a Padawan that I can teach my knowledge to, take on one-on-one, and once I get that down, then now there's 2 of us and we can spread out. I would slowly rebuild the order and go around collecting all of the most dangerous artifacts and stuff that I wouldn't want the wrong people to have in their hands, and just help out with the New Republic in any way that I could.
Yeah.
That's just me.
So you take the Luke Skywalker path, but modify it, is what you're saying.
Basically, I yes, because you couldn't. Me personally, I couldn't just sit around at the New Republic and watch, Leia and all them guys try to sit there and build a New Republic and get the Senate back and all that. Like that. To me, that would defeat the purpose of the calling of the Jedi. Like you're supposed to have missions or go and do something like that. Which, not to get on a side tangent, it's why I didn't like Luke just hanging around with his thumb up his butt out there on Octu because he was wham. So whatever. That's neither here nor there. But I'm just like, yeah, go out and slowly let the Force kind of guide me into wherever I need to be. Almost like God. You ever see a show like the old Hulk TV show where David Banner or whatever is walking around, he's going from town to town, he just kind of goes where he needs. Where Kung Fu: The Legend Continues, where the guy just walking around, he just goes up to town and he just helps out where he can. Like that's how I would go and make my way.
And I'm gonna be boring and say I'd kind of take the same path.
That's all right.
There's only so many places. I know I want to rebuild the Order, and you have to start somewhere. You have to find that one Force sensitive person that can help you. Whether it be,
it's like I said, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff you can do in a post-Empire war, because you got to think we know Sidious had the Inquisitors out there taking down everybody that was Force sensitive or stealing his children to either make Inquisitors or do what he could. So let's just say that you've been out there, and let's just say you were a Padawan that got away, and you've been dormant for 15 years or whatever, and you didn't go. You didn't get the calling like Cal Kestis did or Kanan or anybody like that. And you just kind of sat until afterward.
Yeah.
Then you start to go. You know what I mean? Like then you never know. You could have people who could be searching Luke out. The Force works in mysterious ways in my head, which is why I don't need a book telling me about every detail about everybody. Okay, if the Empire Strikes Back certain point of view comes out and they give a chapter on the Force and what the Force is thinking, I'm gonna be furious. Haha, that was a little joke.
Yeah, I got nothing more to say really.
Nah, me either.
So I'll let you introduce this last question since it's because of you that we're getting this question.
I gave when Travis Snail and Chris asked for questions on the Marvel Alliance, I gave them some very interesting questions. Some including, if you were to cook Howard the Duck, how would you prepare him, and things of that nature. So he gave me a nice receipt, and he said that now that we know Force Ghosts can physically touch or move something, are Ghost Ben and Rey taking advantage of it? And I would just like to go in to say no, because you can't. They're not just showing up and touching, kisses of gratitude and stuff. Which, yuck, sidebar, is the worst goddamn thing you could ever put in the novelization of Rise of Skywalker. Rey kissed him, but not out of love or passion, but a kiss of gratitude. What? Yeah, okay, so the next time I go to the bar and like somebody, they give me the drink, the drink back there, and instead of throwing a 5 in her tip jar, I'm just gonna reach over and just give her a planter on the lips, right, and go, oh, that's my kiss of gratitude. No, dumb, because that's not how things work. Okay, I'm not meaning to call her dumb because she's obviously more creative than I am. But come on, man, you couldn't run that line past somebody. I say all that to say, no, because what we do know about this shit is, that was a kiss of gratitude. Blah, blah, blah. But I mean, in my head, like Ben showing up at night when she's sleeping with, like shirt off Ben from The Last Jedi, where his pants are pulled up over his belly button, but his big old pecs are hanging out. Like, he shows up like that, and a little bit. He just shows it's just a little bit wet and it for you. And and then he's like, "Oh, you're a Skywalker now. Now we're doing family. Like we can't do this. Go back to being a Palpatine." Mm-hmm.
What's funny is that's literally what my notes say. When I was writing down my answers for these questions, I said, not if the kiss was truly a kiss of gratitude. But on that note, I really don't think that was a Rey perspective, Rey being the author, Ray Carson. I think that was a story group override.
I absolutely do too. I do too, but she went along with it. If it was me, they already made a change. I just said no. And then what are they going to do? Shut it down and just push the whole thing back that far? Which they could have, but then, I don't know. I just looked at them right in their face and said, no, I'm not putting that silly shit in there because that's stupid. Nobody's going to believe it. And what happened? That book came out, and the nanosecond somebody got to that chapter and read that, it immediately went online and people destroyed it. The nanosecond they read that, because everybody did like me, like that little gif where like your face scrunches up and it turns all red and there's smoke coming out of your ears and there's just little question marks popping up all around your face. Like, what the hell is this? That's exactly what I pictured everybody doing. So that's my take, Travis. Says, no, they're not, because the story group says no, because Disney wanted their cake and to eat it too. They wanted to give the Reylo something, and then they wanted to give the Reylo hater something. And it's like gasoline and water. They just don't go together.
True.
All right.
But that's all the questions we have today.
They are.
So, we would plug, but we're going to take a quick ad break and then go ahead and just jump right into the past that of the episode that we recorded.
You might hear some things repeated that we might have talked about, but that's all right. That was like, we've grown so much in 2 weeks and we know so much more. So like, just if it's anything, then they're stupid. Just ignore those idiots, because we are way more up to date now.
Yes. I think most of that includes the Jedi Temple stuff and the High Republic stuff.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
And next week we will, or next week, the bye week that we come out, we will be waiting until it gets a little closer so that we will be up on news and questions and topics. So if you have any questions between now and then, or anything you would like us to discuss, please send it in.
Yes. We will be recording July 5th, I think is what it is.
Okay, I'm in your house.
Okay, buddy. Sorry, guys.
And on that note, enjoy the rest of the episode.
Okay. Yeah.
After the ad.
After this break.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Alliance podcast. I'm your host, Katie Gilstrap, and with me I have my co-host in crime, Nathan Odinson. Nate, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Katie. It's nice to sit down and chat about or get ready to sit down and chat about the wars. Get in the universe there. I'm ready to talk.
Yes, let's do it. This is the second episode of Star Wars Alliance. First one you can find going back on the feed, so just feel free to rewind if you haven't listened to that one. Today we're going to talk about some book news and the Clone Wars. But if Star Wars is not your jam, you can listen to our Marvel show with Chris and Travis on Mondays, our DC show with Greg and Travis. Travis though, on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Wednesday, if you're a comic book fan of all genres, you can find Chris with World's Finest True Believers on Wednesdays. Obviously, this is Thursday's show. I host Star Wars Alliance bi-weekly with Nathan on Thursdays. Yes. And on the opposite Thursdays, so again, bi-weekly, you can find my other show, Slice of Film, where we talk about all your film favorites, going back to the 70s to even some recent stuff. And then on Fridays, you'll find our animated show with Travis and Greg. So make sure you kind of stay tuned. We're here every day of the week, y'all.
Just subscribe. Go to your podcatcher of choice and go to Geek Ultimate Alliance, and you should be able to just subscribe to that. And each day of the week, just the show will pop into your feed, and it should just as simple as that.
Yep. So make sure you do that. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. All those links will be in the description box below for everything.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
If you like what you hear, rate, review. If you don't like what you hear, put a 1-star on there and, tell us why we suck. And, we'll read it. We'll probably throw your opinion right in the garbage, but we will read it. It'll be nice either way.
If there's some constructive feedback, we'll take it. We'll go forward with it.
Absolutely. Constructive criticism all day. All day.
In the outer regions.
Yes.
As we call it,
the outer rim. Yes.
Outer rim. Yes. But seriously, y'all, I know we're early, but if you would like to give us a review, go ahead, do it. Drop it on your favorite podcatcher. So with that, we will drop first things first into news. First things first. So today is, what day is it? I don't even know what day it is. It's Wednesday, June 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there is basically a kid show coming on the Star Wars YouTube channel. Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy, is hosting it as his own Jedi Master. So that's pretty cool.
What is his name too? It's a pretty cool Star Warsy name too. I should have remembered it. Yeah, I should have.
I'm gonna look it up now, but
Doesn't he look fantastic? Like, he looks so happy to be back in Star Wars. He looks so happy.
Well, and he said it was the reason he came back was because of the reception he got at Star Wars Comic-Con. I think it was Celebration. So it was last year in 2019 where he went out and everyone cheered him on, gave him lots of applause, and he finally felt at home. He said he hadn't been on a Celebration stage since 1999.
Well, with all the grief and the criticism he took, and for him to come out, God, what was it, 20 years later, and say that like he was so low, people kicked him so hard, while just for portraying the character, that like he considered suicide and stuff. And now obviously he's gotten over that depression, and the fans have embraced him with open arms and stuff, because, you know, like, here's a little sidebar, guys, but like, that was the brilliance of George Lucas. Is he knew what Jar Jar was for. He knew it was for the kids. He knew it was for those kids. And what now, 20 years later, those kids have grown up who appreciated Jar Jar, who appreciated the fart joke in Phantom Menace, or where he got his face electrocuted and talked even funnier and stuff. Like, those kids grew up who had an appreciation for him and that love. So like, I love that the prequel kids, that generation of Star Wars, are growing up being like, no, man, we loved you. Like, you know, you... Like, not everybody doesn't hate Jar Jar. Like, we loved you. You were a part of my childhood. You know, as I got older, the character might not be my favorite, but I always hold that place in my heart for you, because when I was a kid, George was right. Like, that's what it appealed to.
Yep.
I don't know. That's just my thought. A little sidebar detour already, but that's just my opinion.
I mean, absolutely. I am one of the biggest klutzes in the world, and I completely relate to Jar Jar. Just like, it just coming into things and going, oh, okay, I'm going to try my best at this, and I might screw up, but hey, it's okay.
And I mean, I'm a believer that hashtag Jar Jar is a Sith Lord. I believe that was I believe that was the original. I mean, I you know, I don't want to be one of them guys that was swayed by YouTube videos, but I mean, I saw that video and I was pretty convinced.
Well, ultimately, I'm glad to have Ahmed back.
Yes, and he looks fantastic. I said all of that just to say that he looks fantastic and very happy.
So he is a Jedi Knight. He's playing a Jedi Knight. His name is Kelleron Beck, along with trusty droid 83, who is voiced, by Mary Holland, and then another droid, LXR5, who is voiced by the one and only Sam Witwer, who is absolutely fantastic. So the first 2 episodes premiered today. I haven't had a chance to watch them, but I know I will be tuning in, because we could all use a little positivity right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be based on like Legends of the Hidden Temple by like Nickelodeon, and then like Double Dare. So I'm really excited because those were some of my favorites.
Yeah. I will check it out. I don't know if personally it's a show that I'll watch all the time, because obviously it is for kids to get into. But like, I just think it's actually a really, really good and smart idea, because like, what kid doesn't want to play Star Wars, and then to be like with like actual props and droids and a Jedi? Like, yes. I will do that right now at 34 years old. Sign me up. Where do I get to go play?
Yes, where's the adult version Lucasfilm?
Yeah. I do think it's a great idea, and I will probably check it out. I will at least give it an opening episode to see what it's like. But all honesty, it's probably not something I will check out weekly.
Yeah. So it's 10 episodes, and it was originally supposed to go on Disney Plus, but ultimately Lucasfilm decided, with everything that's going on it might bring a little bit of positivity and let kids watch something for free, get more kids involved in it. So I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see it.
Yes, I think it's a smart move putting it on their YouTube channel.
With what's next on the list, though, it's very disappointing. At least in my book, and I know in a lot of people's books.
Mm-hmm.
The High Republic book series, which is technically cross media because it'll have comics and everything. Those have all been delayed from the original 2020 release dates. The comic book, as a matter of fact, doesn't actually have a new release date. It just says that they will follow at a later date. But
they pushed everything back, correct?
It's
which makes me think there's a major story change that came in the not 9th hour, but let's just say 8th hour, because those books were getting ready to come out, which means you have to send them to the bookmaker, the publisher, the guy that has to print those off. So my tinfoil hat is in the 8th hour. They went, oh man, like we don't want to do this, or we're scrapping this idea, or we're changing it a bit from I don't know, like this to this. That's just my wild speculation. Why else would you push the entire thing back?
I think it's just a matter of products with coronavirus going on right now. Like,
okay, it could be, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
You don't have a lot of opportunities. Maybe you can't get the covers in. I don't know.
This is true. I didn't think of that.
Anything's possible right now. It's highly disappointing because
maybe they just want to push it back because everything's been in such unrest and we know here in America and around the world that like unemployment rates all over are gone, and maybe they just want to kind of push it not until things stabilize, because I definitely don't want to say that, but maybe level out a bit. Maybe that's in their thing. They're just thinking, we'll push it back. Right now is not a time when people are going to have the extra funds for, even if it is their favorite galaxy far, far away, a book for it. Maybe they don't have the funds for that.
Yeah, and that's all factors. Like, I get it, but it's just
very disappointing.
Yeah. Light of the Jedi was supposed to release, I believe, in August. Yes. That book is by Charles Soule. It will now release on January 5th, 2021. Justina Ireland's middle grade book, A Test of Courage, will also release on that date. I think that one was supposed to release in September. Mm-hmm. And then Claudia Gray's book, which I'm really looking forward to this one, especially after how disappointed I was with Master and Apprentice by her.
Thank you. You are the first person I've heard say that. I didn't either. I got almost all the way through Master and Apprentice, and I just haven't went back. And I've only got I had the audio, and I've only got 2 hours left or something. And I was just like, eh. I just didn't. I
didn't need another rendition of the Phantom Menace. I needed something else, and that was what it was. It was a negative version of the Phantom Menace, and not.
Well, maybe it is just me and my perception, because I will be the first to admit, when it comes to expanded universe of the books and stuff like that, your knowledge vastly outweighs and stretches beyond mine. I have a couple books that appeal to me here and there that I've read when it comes to expanded stuff, but it just seems to me that with a lot of their media, man, they really want to drive home the fact that Yoda and the Jedi were just some dicks. They were just dumb as stubborn assholes, and they were to an extent, but I got the impression that they were messing up in the prequels when I watched them, and you see in the Clone Wars when Lucas was still doing it. But I feel, and I could be, like I said, I haven't read as much as you, so I'm not as well versed. Maybe there's other books out there where they're the Jedi were awesome and they just got hoodwinked, but it just seems to me where they're we just want to drive it home and reinforce it. The Jedi suck. Yoda's stupid. He was a terrible a-hole. You know what I mean? That's just my impression for some of it.
Well,
Dooku Lost, I felt that way too a little bit.
But Dooku Lost was so much better written, and it actually explored new timelines. Whereas you're giving me a book about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, who we don't know much about the relationship other than what happened in the Phantom Menace, and
And Legends now.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I knew they hated each other, like, at the get-go, so I knew there was some sort of change there.
Yeah, there's a growing respect.
But it just
or
could have been
mutual
so
respect.
much better.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. And you're right. Like with Dooku too, it could have been that. Like I know that there's not a lot of fans out there, but I am a Dooku fan, and I think it has a lot to do with Clone Wars and just the great Christopher Lee portraying him in the movies. So like maybe that's just what it is. But like I was just enthralled to learn more about Dooku and Ventress when he still had his apprentice. Like this,
Yes.
Ventress is a badass character, man. And speaking of books that I have read, and if you like the Clone Wars era stuff and you want to know more about Ventress and how her story ends, I would highly recommend Dark Disciples. I think that is an excellent book for the new canon.
I absolutely have to read that one. Like, that's one I haven't touched yet. And it's funny because I got it for like $2 at Barnes and Nobles, and it's still sitting on my bookshelf.
Okay, I would highly recommend if you get through, or let's just say you have an opening where I know you do a lot of reading and you do a lot of like writing and stuff, which is great. But if you have an opening and time to slot in one more book and you want to go to Star Wars, I would highly recommend it, especially if you like Ventress, because it is it's based off of the unused episodes of Clone Wars, and I do believe Katie Lucas wrote the episodes for that, and she collaborated with the person who wrote the book. Don't quote. I want to say that's it. I could be wrong, but I want to say that they, she took her scripts from that and then wrote the book and even collaborated with her to help flesh out the book.
Right. So, and I do plan on doing that eventually because I do know that I want to have you read all the books because I want to do reviews for them on this podcast. So, if you're listening, tell us how soon you want to hear about Ventress and Quinlan Voss.
That's a great idea. You know what, guys? Like, if you have a suggestion for a book that you want to talk about, even if it's one that we've already read, because I'll be the first to admit that I love the new Thrawn trilogy, and I've read that first new canon book 3 times. Well, listen to the audiobook 3 times because Mark Nobleman, who reads it or whatever. Oh, it's the perfect voice for Thrawn. But anyway, I'm just saying, if you have a suggestion or that you would like to hear us talk about a book from, Queen Shadow to Alphabet Squadron to Tarkin to whatever, or if it's Legends, let me know, because like the only Legends I've really read is the Bane trilogy and Dark Decide or the Revan book, and then Fatal Alliance and stuff. But like what my whole point is, I use a lot of words to say very simple things. If you have a suggestion, let us know, and we will try to get it in or to mull it over and talk about it, doing a review.
We will dive deep. We will if you're thinking, okay, I don't have enough time to read this, but I want to know what happens, like let us know. We'll talk about it. So definitely.
As you can hear, I love to talk. I say a lot of things to say nothing. So I love to talk.
Yes. Wow, that's a womp rat right there. That's right. That's what we're using for squirrel on here.
That's a womp rat, exactly. We just chased a womp rat. We're about to bullseye it in our T16 and get back on track.
Absolutely. So as I said before, the comic series, both of those don't have a date that they're going to be published on. But I'm really excited to hear more from Charles Soule and Daniel Jose Older. Like, that's really exciting for me. Those are some two bright stars.
That's what I was gonna say. Is you're really excited about Claudia Gray? Well, like, I just picked up Charles. I think it's pronounced Soule. I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're saying it wrong. I don't. So forgive me, Charles, if I'm saying it wrong. But I just recently picked up his Vader comic in trade. What a fantastic story about how he gets his red lightsaber in the moments right after Return of Revenge of the Sith, and like it was enthralling. And like, so if he can do that, I don't know what it was about it, but it just sucked me in. If he can do the same thing with this new High Republic, like let's go. Let's go. I'll give it a chance. I'm really hoping for the best after reading that comic.
Yeah, I think he's only written comics up to this point. He wrote the Kylo Ren comic and then Vader comics. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really read any of his work. I'm going to try and get into the Kylo Ren comic, just because I want to
I've
know
heard
more
good
about
things.
Kylo Ren. I have
I
too.
have not read it, but I've heard good things.
I'm looking forward to it's a different podcast. What the Force.
Yeah.
They're doing an interview with him that they did to support comic book stores.
Okay.
And they won the interview on that. They raised enough money for it. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about his review or his interview.
Fun fact: if that Kylo, I do believe that Kylo series. I do believe that's where you get to see Snoke in a little golfer's cap. A little golfer cap. So
Really?
yeah, I do believe that's the picture with Snoke with a little cap there. Everybody was like, huh. And I exaggerate saying it like that because it's I don't know. Sorry, that's a whole joke thing. Midwest.
So with that bad news on our minds, let's jump into something a little bit more positive. We have Thrawn Ascendancy, which is a prequel to the current canon Thrawn novels. It's a trilogy by Timothy Zahn. It was originally scheduled to drop October 6th, but now it's going to drop a month sooner. So
I know they took away my birthday present because, fun fact, October 6th is my birthday.
October 13th is my birthday.
Freaking internet high five. What's up?
High five. Oh yeah. But hey, bright news. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga drops October 31st. So
yes.
You still have that to look forward to. I know I've already pre-ordered that, so.
Yes. My wife Jamie even enjoys the Lego games, and even though she doesn't necessarily care for Star Wars, she will play the shit out of that game just because it's Lego.
I had a PS4 for like 5 years, and I loved playing the Lego games. Like we had the prequel trilogy, and then we had the original trilogy, and so now I have a PS4 because I'm a PlayStation person. So I want to jump into this crap.
I would hope that Disney's and Lego are going to do it, but I hope they use the dialogue from the movies, because you know how like in the early version of Lego games it'd be like,
yeah,
they didn't use the dialogue. I think they did it with the Force Awakens game, that they used the dialogue. Either way, I just hope Disney was like, no, go ahead, use the dialogue. If we're playing all over all the eras, like use the real dialogue.
Yes, please.
Yeah, because that will be, Lego games they're just mindless fun. You know what I mean? They're just fun.
I think honestly I would finish the Lego Star Wars game before I will finish God dang it, what even is the game I keep playing?
Fallen Order.
Yeah, Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
That game is so difficult.
It can
be.
God, I'm stuck on Kashyyyk. I've been stuck on Kashyyyk, and then I kind of gave up, and I just went back to Battlefront and just got in those massive battles. And I just kind of haven't went back because I'm intimidated, because I don't want to be the guy that turns my difficulty down in the middle of it, where I just feel like defeated, where I'm like, I gotta take it down to make it easier.
I think there's like Youngling, Padawan, Jedi Knight, and then Master, and I think I'm at Padawan because I wanted to still do the fights and everything, because apparently on Padawan you don't fight, you just like walk through the story, which is great, like that works wonders, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I keep dying.
Yeah, although great game, and I can't wait for the second one to come out, because now that they have this one, they have all the mechanics down. And now they're gonna have it with the bugs worked out. So, basically, like the number 2 is gonna have some. Especially like, if you've seen the graphics for PS5, holy shit!
I have not.
Wow, movie quality, real life looking stuff. It's gonna be a game changer, even for, I think, movie technology, when eventually it gets incorporated and adapted.
That was what held me back originally from getting a PS4 for so long. But ultimately, I was like, I want to play this game though. So that's I got a PS4. So we'll see if I end up getting a PS5. Probably not. Right. But
we'll see.
Womp rat. There you go.
Womp rat again. Sorry.
Sorry, Thrawn.
But yeah, speaking of Thrawn, he is. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but he is one of my favorite, and I mean favorite, Star Wars characters. And fun fact, I only know him from the new canon, from his 3 books and his appearance in Rebels season 3 and 4, and just what I know just from like a little Google here and Google there and what I've heard people talk about it passing. But man, I really, really enjoy this character, and to see. It's interesting that it's a prequel to before he gets to the Empire. Are we gonna see the threat that he's telling the Emperor about that they could be encroaching on his galaxy? You know what I mean? I'm just like, what direction are they gonna go? Is it gonna be Thrawn as a kid? Was he one of the quote Skywalkers and lost his ability? You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be interesting? Because we know that there are some Chiss children, that's how they navigate, and that they lose their force abilities by the time they get to adolescent or teenage years. So wouldn't that be interesting if Thrawn was one of the quote Skywalker's navigators and lost, was one of the kids that eventually lost the force? Like, that could be interesting.
It could. I'm going to stop you there, though, because I've only read half of Thrawn Treason, and I do intend to finish it.
Oh, damn it.
At some point. It's just a matter of where is it going on my list.
You remember Thrawn in the first book from 2015? That's what he tells the Emperor, is that there's a threat coming. So I just want to know if maybe
I think it's completely possible that we delve into what the threat could be and what the Chiss potentially do to like stop it from the time being, because currently we don't know where this lies in the timeline.
No,
we will eventually know.
Yeah.
The only thing the summary really goes into is it says discover Thrawn's origins. It says he was born of no title but adopted into the powerful family of the myth, which his name is Mithron Urodu.
Yeah. Mithron
and
Urodu.
Then given the and then he was given the name Thrawn. It does have Ara Alani in it, which she's in Treason.
Yes. Admiral Alani. Yeah, okay. Yep.
And so it'll delve into his first command, into the vast stretch of space his people call the Chaos, which I believe is the unknown regions currently is what we know. And
expand it. Let there be some weird shit out there. I know Star Wars is filled up with some weird shit, but if we're exploring new ground, like this is, I love Star Wars, and I'm not one of the people that are like, get away from the Skywalker Saga. But like, if we're getting away from stuff and we're getting into new territory, which is still within the timeline, like, let's get weird. Let's get into some new shit.
Well, okay, and so the final line in the summary, or the publisher summary, says, and the threat to the Ascendancy, which is the Chiss Empire, is only just beginning. Ooh. And so that kind of goes hand in hand with the High Republic. Like, what scares the Jedi? Like,
oh, I didn't even think of that.
What scares the Chiss?
Do we know how long Thrawn's people lived? Like, could he be 200 years old, or at the time? Because doesn't the High Republic take place 200 years before?
It says several generations. We don't know when the High Republic really takes place.
Okay.
Either.
Now I'm getting all weirded out there making all these theories.
Well, and so I know the Chiss more from Legends. In terms of ranking Thrawn in terms of storyline, I would definitely say Legends, where you have the trilogy, which, fun fact, we'll be going into later on a later episode, sometime in the near future, and then the duology, which is one of my favorites, mainly because that's when Luke and Mara finally fall in love. But anyways, and so it would be those 5 stories, and then the canon Thrawn trilogy, and then Rebels. I think you see a little bit different character in the Rebels, based on who Thrawn is. Yeah, we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, when he loses it on that guy, and I was like, whoa, who is this imposter? Because that's not the Thrawn that I know. You know, like when he loses his composure and like grabs that guy and gets all angry and stuff, I was like, what is happening? I agree.
Yeah. So that would kind of be how I rank those. I am excited to delve into this. I can't say it enough about how grateful I am to the story group for bringing Timothy Zahn back to write this character. This character is so iconically Zahn. I don't really think any other person could have been involved in writing him. I do kind of see some inflections by the story group where it looks like Zahn wants to go off in the canon trilogy and kind of say, okay, no, Thrawn needs to do this instead of this. And I can kind of see the story group's influence based off what we got in Legends versus the canon trilogy. I think you see a little bit different personality, which I can understand.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you want everything to tie in, ideally.
But we don't live in an ideal world.
We don't. As you can clearly see by the differences in
everything.
Yes. In Rebecca Roanhorse's Resistance book, Resistance Rising, versus the Resistance Reborn is the actual name of the book. I'm sorry, Rebecca. It's a great book, by the way. But there's some very clear differences between that and The Rise of Skywalker, even between the Rise of Skywalker novel and the film. But again, topic for a different day.
We digress, right?
We digress.
Do you want to chase while we're on Thrawn? Do you want to chase a right because it'll all tie in?
Oh yes, let's do it.
Okay,
lead the way.
So there was this rumor, and I know it's Reddit or maybe it was just some guy putting something out there. Either way, it got a conversation started that supposedly there was like this secret thing where like Lucasfilm wants to cast a live action Thrawn. So like if I'm gonna fall down this rabbit, let's really
admittedly, before you go further, the site I write for, Full Circle Cinema, pulled this item of news from Daniel, who published it on his Patreon. So I might be a little bit biased here.
Well, no, I wasn't saying it to disparage that because I just saw the rumor and was talking about it. But so if we're gonna go down this rabbit hole, let's go. So what do we know about Thrawn from the new canon? Because like I said, I really love that new canon trilogy books, and like I kind of mild spoilers, but I already spoiled it for you since you didn't get through treason. But like I said in the first book, he talks about a threat that to his people, like there's a threat to his people, and he'll work for the Emperor, and because he needs to fortify, because this threat, if they can take out the Ascendancy, they'll come there, and like they got to stop it. So we find that out, and then we find out that he tells him he was exiled or whatever, but we find out he tells Vanto that like that's really his mission, and to like kind of go there, find out what the Empire's defenses are like and stuff, see what they can use to bring back to the Chiss Ascendancy to help, and to kind of maybe join forces if he works for him. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? And then in Treason, you find out that Vanto's been working on finding the data of why these some of these Chiss Force-sensitive children, they lose their Force ability, except for there's this one like 18-year-old girl that still has her ability, and they don't know why. So here that's what I was going to reference earlier.
I could have sworn it was only females that had this ability.
Okay. You know what? You're right. You know what? I think you are right. Yeah. Okay. You're right. So that throws that other thought out the window. Okay. But anyway, we're following this thing. Let's follow this line of logic. We've also heard that Rosario Dawson supposedly has been cast as Ahsoka, and they're going to do is kind of like maybe there's rumors they're going to be a series. Well, what do we know about Rebels? And this is all going to tie in, I promise. What we know about Rebels and Mandalorian. All right, here we go. Rebels, we know Ezra gets a vision of the Force, whatever it is. He grabbed he talks to the Peril, and like he knows what his mission is, to get Thrawn out of there. We know the Chimera is badly damaged. They go. We don't know where they go, where the Perils take them. Deep space. Maybe they're in what the Chiss, in this book's called, what they call it, the aggressive space, or what'd you call it? You know what I mean? Basically, the Chiss, their outer rim, basically.
Chaos.
Yeah, the chaos.
It literally references chaos.
Maybe that's where they get sucked out. So they're so far away, they can't get back. So that's why Ezra's out of the picture. But okay, so, and we know at the epilogue of that, Ahsoka says, it's time, and grabs Sabine. And this takes place, the epilogue's like what? A handful of years after After Return of the Jedi.
I believe what I've looked at is that it's 6 months after Return of the Jedi.
Okay, and we know the Mandalorian takes place 5 years after.
Yep.
Let's say, what does the Mando have? The Mando has a Yoda species. And apparently what we know about the Yoda species after only seeing 3 of them is they are all powerful. Of course, as Yaddle and Yoda were both on the council. And Yoda was the Grand Master. And we see the baby is powerful. We know that he has to get it to his people or whatever. So like I said, here we're going all these lines. But if Ahsoka, like let's just say his people means Jedi. So Ahsoka takes this kid and they're on the hunt for Thrawn and Ezra. If you're going to cast a live action Thrawn and people love the character, we know the Chimera was badly injured, damaged. They get to out of wild space or the unknown region. Thrawn is not going to immediately kill Ezra. He would not sacrifice an asset like that. So if they're out there on a lifeboat and they've got the Chimera out there basically with one oar in the ocean floating around, and Ahsoka and them go to find it, Thrawn, the baby Yoda could be the answer to why they're forced to, if they can, he's so powerful as a baby. Like, it could all tie in if we're going on there. And then you get Thrawn as a good guy because you get Ahsoka, you get Ezra, you get Sabine, and you get Thrawn out in the chaos working to go up against this threat, which if you want to bring something in from canon or from Legends, you go Yuzhan Vong. And you could do the Yuzhan Vong war, but it's out there with the Chiss. So maybe it's not our galaxy that fights it. Maybe it's the Chiss. Maybe that's what the Chiss have been holding back the whole time is the Yuzhan Vong. And now we're out there with Thrawn, and he's a good guy. And we want our team. And like I said, I know this is just a lot of what ifs, but as I said in the beginning of this, if we're going down the rabbit hole, let's go down the rabbit hole.
Well, and so what's interesting about the Yuzhan Vong is that the Force does not affect them in any way.
Right. See,
yeah. What scares the Jedi?
Oh, and that could also tie back into the High Republic. See, Katie,
please.
We're making Lucas, call us. We got ideas. If you're not already doing this, call us up. We got stuff to talk about.
Yuzhan Vong is one of the most interesting villains that has come to Star Wars. I was really surprised that they didn't go forth with a path on that when Disney picked up Star Wars. Like, I get that they wanted to kind of delve their own path, but they're not world killers. No. They go in and reinvent worlds. So like they turn Coruscant into a plant-based world.
You're right, because you know what? Like, what's the next step in this new era where we're going to explore a new timeline? And if the High Republic is the height of the Jedi, and there's a bunch of them, you bring in the Yuzhan Vong, which are not like that, because that's a war all in itself with a whole new crop of Jedi we've never seen before, and their Force powers don't work on these guys. You know what I mean? Like this, you could be right. This could be their big thing. Like once we actually get into it, we find out about it. It could be their big, their crossover. You know what I mean? This could be the big epic sweep. That's I never even thought of that. That's a great point. And then if we're doing the prequel with the Chiss thing, it could still tie into that same enemy, because I know that's a beloved thing from the Legends that has not been brought in yet. And you're right, they could be a big. You just kind of made my mind start going, because I didn't even think.
Well, and so so we know Taika's supposed to get a movie. We don't know when.
Yes.
Taika's personality would be a perfect Yuzhan Vong introduction for Star Wars. I'm telling you, it would be absolutely perfect, because they've got a sort of religious zeal to them. They cut off limbs. It would be absolutely perfect. So
I watch it. I will watch it.
We currently don't have. There is nothing that says that the High Republic series will currently tie into any TV show or film.
Right.
But that could change.
Currently. Mm-hmm.
So, and again, maybe Taika not having a release date on his movie says something.
Sure.
Like, we know Rian Johnson's supposed to have a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Kevin Feige's supposed to be involved in some sort of movie. So I don't think Rian Johnson's personality really fits that. Taika
does. He's been getting a crash course, because as we found out from Disney Gallery, that these directors are all sticking around. They're not just making their episode and running. They're learning how to do, like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are teaching them how to do Star Wars. And that's I don't think that's getting stressed enough. Is that they are literally teaching the next generation because they're all helping each other. They're all collaborating, and they're all learning. Like you saw, and I know I've talked about this before on other podcast stuff, and I go back to it. But like Dave Filoni, when he just laid it out for like 7 minutes straight at the end of that second episode, you saw the producers and all those other directors just like so engaged with them, and like, you know what I mean, just going, and like I like that these guys, that first season, like they learned how to do Star Wars. Not all those people are coming back, but a lot of those people are coming back for season 2 while still adding new members into the family. And I just think that they're subtly training and cultivating the next crop of directors, so that whether you love him or whether you hate him, whatever, that you don't get such another divisive movie as The Last Jedi, to where these directors can still do their thing and put their flavor on it, but it still feels in universe or in character. You know what I mean? Maybe that's, you know what I mean? And I don't say that to disparage people that love The Last Jedi who think that, you know, like, but you, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I personally like that, and I think that Taika, especially with his experience from working with Disney before, and he is a quick learner, and he does have the right sensibilities for Star Wars, because Star Wars has always had those little quick jabs and those one-liners. You know, to go back to A New Hope and Han in the control station, you know, while they're trying to break layout, and he's like, "Yeah, we're all fine, good here." You know what I mean? Like there's always been good humor and stuff in there, so he does have the right sensibilities, and he's learning what's to stay within that universe, you know. So I'm more excited for Taika doing Star Wars than I am for Taika doing Love and Thunder. You know, to put it out there like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but
there you have it, folks. One more womp rat for you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was just all to go around that they're chasing it down. But I am very, like, that is going to be a day one audio book, so I can listen while I'm on my route when that new Thrawn Ascendancy comes, because like, and I know you keep saying that I'll really like the character more when I get into the Legends, but I love the character just from the new trilogy, and like you said, I'm glad they brought Zahn back in to write the character, and I really love the guy that does the voice on the audiobooks. He's fantastic.
Amazing, and he's going to be doing he's going to be doing the Thrawn Ascendancy book as well. So that makes me more excited. You can definitely stay tuned for our book club that will happen in September. We will go through it with y'all. So definitely catch up, because I've been planning that for a while. So with High Republic delayed, that will be our first new book that we'll tackle. However, like we said earlier, if you want us to tackle a book and you want to join along, let us know.
Yes, please.
Star Wars Alliance on Twitter. Hit us up. On that note, is there anything else you want to talk about news-wise, Nate?
I don't think there is anything else news-wise. I haven't really been plugged in lately, but I don't believe there's anything else news-wise to discuss.
Yeah, I don't think so. So on that note, we're going to play an ad here. Unfortunately, we don't have control over the volume or who it is. But
you can hit skip.
Definitely listen.
You're going to. It's fine.
Support the podcast. We love y'all. Yeah. So we'll be right back.
And we're back. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Nope, that's totally staying in. Okay. You're stuck. Okay. That was our intro, folks. So, with not a lot happening currently, we're going to go back to one of the highlights of 2020, probably the highlight of 2020, until The Mandalorian, at least.
One of the small highlights of 2020 so far. Good golly.
Let's talk about Clone Wars Season 7.
Oh, God. I love Clone Wars so much. Please, let's discuss.
Yes, let's go through arc by arc. So, Bad
Okey-doke.
Batch.
Loved it. Next. No, I'm just kidding. Loved it. I love the Bad Batch.
Yeah. To me, I thought it was a great storyline. I could have used less of it. I think it would have been a tighter storyline with maybe 3 episodes instead of 4. It feels very loose. And I get it.
Could have been
complete
tightened
purpose.
up. It could have been tightened up.
It has the purpose, and I talked about this on my review on Full Circle Cinema. It has the Bad Batch reflects. It tells us where Rex is mentally, as in terms of Clone Wars, and I think that's what the point of season 7 was, to tell us where our original characters are. Yes, it was about Anakin's journey from Attack of the Clones to Revenge of the Sith, but ultimately, this season was about Rex and Ahsoka. I don't care what you say. It was absolutely about them.
I would argue the entire series was about Ahsoka and Rex, because we see the war through their eyes. Yeah, we had a lot of Anakin and Obi-Wan centric episodes, but if you really think about it, we see a lot through their eyes, because I don't know about you, but a lot of my favorite episodes are the clone stories of the just clones out there. Just because, man, it's just... Like, I don't know why. Like, I love these guys. And I remember Greg, who does DC Alliance, was when he was first going through it. And he got through season 1, and he's like, man, I just want to say, like, I really love the clones and stuff. And I brought up to him, I said, I know. And when you get through the series, I said, it makes it all the more tragic when you get to Revenge of the Sith. And, you know, all these guys turned on their friend and killed their friends. And Greg stopped, and he goes, man, I didn't even think of that. He goes, these are the same characters. I said, and that's what I love about it. I mean, it fleshes it out. It not only gives you the brotherhood that we hear Obi-Wan tell Luke about in A New Hope in episode 4. Like, we get to see that brotherly camaraderie. We get to see Anakin as the ace pilot. We get to see him as the chosen one. Like, you know what I mean? And then we also see it through Ahsoka and Rex's eyes, who are the closest to Anakin. And we get to watch the change through the change in him through their eyes. And that's the way I see it. I don't know if you see it a different way, but like I've always, well, maybe not always, but in retrospect, I feel like we've always been looking through those characters' eyes, because we knew where the others ended up.
Yeah, and I can definitely agree with that to an extent, because I think most people's qualms with the prequel trilogy, especially between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, is that it doesn't make much sense how Anakin falls. And I think we definitely see that in the Clone Wars. Is you see a different Anakin between who he cares about. You see the best friend with the clones, and you see the brother with Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Rex.
The leader. You see the leader. His troops respected him because he was on the front lines. He never sent them in without going in head first himself.
But he also cares extraordinarily about them. So that's kind of why I say you see the best friend who is the leader. Yes, because I saw some people's qualms with how he acts with Padme in the series versus how he acts with the clones, and it's just, I talked about this when we did Super Civil Servants. I think you see a different person. I think it's just a matter of, okay, I've got a home life here. I've got my best friends, the people I care about dearly here. Well, and then I've got my brothers
they're also in war. And I'm no veteran or anything, but everything I've heard about is like when you're in war with somebody, like, you got your family, you got your parents, you got all that you love, but there's a real special connection and bond when you go through war with somebody and you see your brothers die, and you're in the trenches in the front lines. And I don't, like I said, I have no experience in the military, but I do have people that I know and in my family that have been, and just from what I've gleaned over the years and out of history, is that there's a real special bond and camaraderie built. And you got to think, Anakin and Padme, no, they had to be secretive all the time, 24/7, because Anakin could never let on that he was in a relationship or married. And Padme, like with her position as a senator, like to be in a scandal married to a Jedi, like what? Like there's, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I didn't see it in a bad way or anything.
I definitely don't see it either. Like the prequels and the sequels switch off between my favorites. Like I said, in our debate on the last episode. But I think there's just something to be said, and you can definitely see what you talk about. You see the war affecting Rex, like his brothers, like he's lost Fives, he's lost Echo that he thought of originally when you see the Bad Batch. And you just see like even though
heavy cut up all of them, he's he's lost a lot of brothers.
Well, and so the fact remains, like, yes, you can say all these clones grew up with each other, but I mean, we see in the very first, I think it's the very first season, I can't ever remember chronologically, but the episode where Heavy cut up,
yes,
Echo and Fives
Domino
all
Squad.
go,
Domino
where they're
Squad.
all on that planet, and then you see Rex and what's his name,
Cody?
Cody come in on the planet for like an inspection. I mean, at that point, you can tell that Fives and Echo, because they're the main ones, didn't grow up with Rex and Cody. But you see the bond that still progresses over the season, and that's what makes Clone Wars
friendship. Yeah,
that's what makes the clone episodes of the Clone Wars so incredibly special. Is that they're not just about war; they're about building a relationship that lasts forever, where no matter where you come from.
And Rex and Ahsoka, like all the clones kind of mirror their Jedi general. Like if you look at Cody's by the book and stuff because his general is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is like the prime, like, you know, he is the model student. You want to put him on the posters for being a Jedi because he follows stuff by the book. He's always talking to the council. You know what I mean? Like he's always that guy. And Cody's the same way. He's by the books. And if you look at it, Anakin's more, you know, fast and loose and playing it just, you know, instincts and going with stuff. And Rex and Ahsoka are both free thinkers and go like that too. And Anakin does care about his troops and stuff. So Rex really does care about his men and his friends. So like whenever he thinks that Echo's alive, like to him, that's still one of his men. No matter, you know, brother or whatever, that's one of his men. He's not going to stop until he knows for sure if he's alive or dead. So I really did love the Bad Batch arc for just like he knew it. You know what I mean? He knew that's what it was. And then, you know, he was willing to fight all four of the Ninja Turtles. I mean, the Bad Batch. And, you know, like he was willing to take them all down. And
I appreciated Filoni tracking that back all the way through the Domino Squad Clone Academy lessons, where Domino Squad fails because they left a brother behind.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that they tracked that lesson all the way up to season 7, Filoni's just an artistic storyteller.
Yes, thank you. Like Filoni he doesn't leave anything by the wayside. No detail, no stone, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that's it with the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm. And then the Super Suck arc. I'm sorry. I mean, this one, if it was 4 episodes, it could have been 2 extended episodes.
And I would agree to an extent. This one also could have been pared down, given us more content in the Clone Wars that we were so desperately after. But I think this accomplishes the exact same thing the Bad Batch does for Rex.
Yes.
That it tells you where Ahsoka's mental state is.
Yes.
And honestly, I think if you don't have this arc for Ahsoka, if you just say, okay, she was exploring herself.
Right. It kind of
even if it was a bunch of if it was a bunch of mini episodes that just show what she's doing, I don't think you get the same result, because the fact is that the Martez sisters being affected by the Jedi bombing that happened. Was it the Jedi bombing? I can't even remember at this point.
It was which like great tie, but like for all the stuff like again Filoni tying it in is season 1, and it ties into the movie too, is Zero, when Zero's getting broke out by Cad Bane, and they take down that Star Cruiser, or when Luminara takes out that Star Cruiser and it smashes into the Coruscant. Well, like Filoni tying it in, and that on the other side of that wall was their house and their parents, and like
once you finally get to that in there, like that's what I mean. This episode, it should have been condensed. What was it? Episode 2. So they get trapped in the thing. Episode 3, they break out, run around to the thing. Oh, they're right back in the cell at the end of episode 3. And then, all right, episode 4, we're gonna get out again. If we don't go back in there, okay? And, you know
And
what
I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, Clone Wars has been known in the past for not being chronological. I mean, the Ahsoka arc technically happens before the Rex arc.
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to say, because when they pass on them hyperspace, which was a great scene where they feel each other in the Force, where Anakin and Ahsoka feel each other. Great effing scene, like a great. Like I loved all those moments in this season. Like you just, you live on those little moments. You know what I mean? That you're just wanting. But by the end of it, I didn't mind the Martez sisters, but I mean, I wanted to punch that one right in the throat in the beginning when she was just like, "They're not taking my ship. They're not taking my ship," and then she hit the eject button, and I was like, "Oh boy."
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't mind them. At the end of the day, I did not mind it.
I didn't mind him either, and I thought it was an important inclusion. I don't think you get the same effect because originally in this storyline was in the original ending season, but it was a guy in there. I don't think you get the same effect if you have a guy.
Was gonna have like a little, wow chicka wow wasn't like they were gonna make googly eyes. You know what I mean?
But females tend to have a more emotional reaction, and so that. And I'm not saying that stereotype.
I was gonna say we don't tolerate that kind of slander on this network, lady. Okay.
I know, and I get crap for it on a daily basis because I tend to be more emotional. But I think you don't get the same effect if the Martez sisters is a Martez guy. I just don't think that happens.
Well, they definitely tweaked it too to like they made and like I said, they made it work. I just personally felt like this one could have been shorter, just like you like you said, the last arc you thought could have been shorter. Like you're right, they both could have had an episode taken out for sure. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then did a little 2-parter for something. Maybe do another instead of the Zillion, do the King Kong one. Do
a Ventress episode.
Well, you can't because by this time she is already spoilers. She's already gone.
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
I don't know how. Like, I'm not telling you how. Like, she's gone. I'm not telling you how or where or which part of the guy. Like, I'm just saying, like, she's not around for this part of the war. Let's put it that way. She's not in the area.
Okay, now I'm definitely gonna have to go read it because I didn't know she died.
Hey, I didn't know.
I'm just kidding. I mean, I didn't know she died, but I was kind of expecting it because
no.
How do you do it?
You've got it. No, you've got to read it because it's really good because like there's Quinlan Voss and you get to know him and there's this great relationship that I'm telling you, read. I don't think if you like the Clone Wars and you want more Clone Wars content, I'm telling you, Dark Disciples is where it's at. Read it. I plowed through that audiobook in like a day and a half. Because I was just like, I ate it up. Mm-hmm. I just shot it into my veins.
Yep.
And I did that Ahsoka book too, and if I had to choose out of the two, I'm sorry, but I'm going with Dark Disciples over that Ahsoka book.
Yeah.
It was kind of lackluster.
EK definitely does the Padme books a lot better.
A lot better. See, that's what I've heard.
Definitely. If you love the prequels,
I do.
Queen's Peril is out right now. It's technically the first book, even though it was just published at this point when this episode's published 2 weeks ago. And the Queen's Shadow is the first book that came out, but it's actually between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. It's a great book. I will link both of my reviews below.
Doesn't it show the transition from queen to senator? Am I right, or is it right around that time? Am I wrong?
Yeah. So Queen Shadow starts off when there's a new election for the queen that's going to replace Padme after her second term. Mm-hmm. And then it goes into, oh, okay, maybe I'll join the art community. From Padme's perspective, maybe I'll join the art community. Maybe I'll do activism. Blah 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 blah.
The
And
art
then,
community, the mother of the.
well,
Get outta
Naboo was
here.
very,
The mother of
Naboo was very well known for its art
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
And
Well, it's still the most beautiful planet there is.
yes. And then the new queen asks her to be the senator because the current senator was retiring.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that leads into.
So it does explore the transition then.
Yeah, and you see
Okay.
Rush Clovis, you see Mon Mothma.
Really?
Yeah,
because this would be before. Well, yeah, when he's alive. Ooh, nice.
and
Clone
then
Wars tie-in.
you get Mon Mothma and Bail Organa in there as well.
Well,
so you
Bail and her
kind
they had a good relationship. So I'm curious. So I'm assuming it's budding a good relationship, of the working relationship
Mhm.
of Bail and Padme.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It builds up. It builds up.
But you highly recommend them, though, is what the point is.
Yes. We'll go into spoiler. I'll go into spoilers on a different podcast.
Sure.
Because I'm sure we'll have a Padme specific topic.
Okay, let's not dance around it anymore. Let's talk about that final arc.
Oh my gosh! I need it to be released as one movie,
and I think that is absolutely the plan.
I need the fortune cookie. Like, if that's my biggest qualm with this season, yes, the first 2 arcs could have been tightened up story-wise, but the fact that the fortune cookie has become one of the most prominent aspects of the Clone Wars, even going back to the opening movie, and you don't have a fortune cookie in the final arc.
I think
are you kidding
they
me?
did. I think it's because like you said, I think this is intended to be, because if you notice, every episode picked up immediately from the last second of the episode before. I think this is going to come out on a Blu-ray or 4K, or the mental beam that they shoot it into your forehead with here sooner or later. But it's going to come out in some kind of media to where you can get it and watch it as just a movie.
But and I
did
get
the
that.
OG Lucasfilm fanfare with it,
yeah,
they considered this. To me, that was a sign and a gesture of Dave Filoni saying, here is your, we started the Clone Wars with a movie. Here is your Clone Wars movie to end it.
But you can't even include a fortune cookie in the opening episode.
I get it. That Tom Kane voice is so iconic.
Yeah.
Over the planet of Naboo, when he just starts going talking, Master Yoda and the Clone. I love that stuff. I do love that Tom Kane voice.
And I get not having him do it, and I get not having it for every episode, but I think to not have it in the opening episode is really disappointing.
Well, that became the crawl for the Clone Wars, basically. The fortune cookie beat was the iconic, was the crawl for the Clone Wars, basically.
And you've had it in every single episode and the movie, but then you don't have it for this. It's
right.
It's so highly disappointing.
Yeah, frustrating. But man, if we're talking about it though, wow! First of all, the animation was absolutely big budget movie theater quality. The Jesus, it looked great. You could see. I mean, when stuff was smoking, it just looked thick or it looked thin, and just the shine and reflection of just the lived-in world. And man, if you want to talk about some epic shit, Maul and Ahsoka, I was on the edge of my seat, and I knew what happened to the characters. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh God, it was just the music cues and all of it, before Order 66, that episode where they take off on the planet. From the planet, there's no dialogue, and it's just music. Oh man, was that just get your heart pumping music again? You knew, because you just knew it was coming. You knew it was coming,
and it was so hard to wait between weeks for these episodes.
Yeah,
but I appreciated it to an extent. Yes, sometimes it's great to have the story just thrust at you to where you can watch it at your own pace.
Immediate gratification.
Yes, but to get this going to where it was weekly.
You got to
And
edge a little bit, and we need that in our lives sometimes, guys. We need that in our lives sometimes. But no, I agree with you because it gave you the conversation each week. Like after every episode, it was like, oh my god, and then we dissect and talk about it and be like, okay, did you see this and this and this visual cue? And I think this is gonna happen next week. And you know what I mean? Like it's just great Star Wars conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm so sad that it's gone. It's finally over. I did appreciate the changes that they made between the Ahsoka book, where we had some details from the Siege of Mandalore, and Dave Filoni had inputs on those. He helped write the book, but I did appreciate the differences.
Me too. I love how Ahsoka, even though like I like how Rex fought it for as long as he could. I thought that was a very nice touch. I like how Ahsoka, even after she saved him, she will not kill these guys because they're still her friends. You know, those are still her. Like, the respect they showed her of her coming back in. Like, man, like, I just thought that was a beautiful touch. Unleashing Maul on the ship and him literally destroying the freaking hyperdrive. Like, wow, that was awesome. Like, was that the animation that gorgeous on that? Just all the red lighting and background of lightning and him just stressing and Sam Witwer with that voice and the way he put, man.
Yes.
Top notch. Top notch.
Oh my gosh. Sam Witwer is absolutely amazing. Like
Ray Park coming back. Ray Park doing the motion capture, and was there Mary? What was the lady's name who did the motion capture for Ahsoka?
Oh,
forgive me. It's been a couple weeks.
Let me pull up my review. I think her name's Lauren.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But like my hat is off to Ray Park because that was really cool how they had them do it, and then they kind of mapped that on the computer to use it for the baseline and blueprint. Like, excellent job, excellent.
Yes,
job. But you could tell by the way Maul was moving that it was Ray Park with that little hop that he does. You know what I mean? The same one he did in the Phantom Menace. Like I just thought, excellent.
It's Lauren Mary Kim performed Ahsoka's motion capture. Yes. And it was a beautiful lightsaber battle fight. I don't care who you are. Like, that was absolutely gorgeous. Number one lightsaber battle in all of Star Wars, I would say.
It's out there. It's a contender.
Sam Witwer actually gave thought into the choreography. The choreograph.
Choreography.
However you say it.
Choreography. I got you.
He actually gave input into that for Ray Park, and I thought that was incredibly special because, in essence, like, Ray Park is Maul.
Yes.
And Sam Witwer is Maul. I mean, technically, if you look at it, Witwer's played Maul longer than Park has.
Look at Solo. Even Disney and Lucasfilm agree that the two are like peanut butter and jelly. Like, they just go together. Yeah. Because they had Ray Park in the makeup and they had the voice.
Yeah. And while I think maybe Ashley Eckstein should have been involved maybe in the choreography a little bit, ultimately she hasn't done the lightsaber duels. Like, I think this is the first time they've done motion capture for the Clone Wars. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm okay with being wrong.
But I don't think we are.
Oh yeah. But it ultimately, like, just the cohesion between Ray Park and Witwer was absolutely amazing. Really came together. Beautiful fight. There's just so much praise for this final arc. Like,
well, my hat's off to Lucasfilm for my finally having a planet that introduced climate change. Like, because that planet at the end we see clearly is in warm climate when they hit the ground, and then however many years later it is clearly winter. So they have climate change on at least one planet in the galaxy.
Yeah.
How about that?
It is definitely several years later, but
yeah, like jumping straight to the end. I mean, but like, was not expecting to see Vader in the Clone Wars. I'll tell you that much. Like, which, man, that model for Vader, woo, does that make me want a series of, like, you know, like, man, I want to see that model out there used a lot. That was a great model of Vader. It was better than the Rebels version where they exaggerated his face a little bit, you know? I just thought that was great seeing stormtroopers. How about the fall, like going down and like they finally make it off the ship, and even that's intense going down. I love the nice little and Rex buried every single one of them. You know what I mean? They buried all their brothers, and Vader picking that saber up and like looking like, what do you think? Like, is that his last little bit of Anakin left until Luke gets a hold of it? You think, or like, what do you think that message?
I would think so. I think finding the lightsaber at the scene, I think ultimately Anakin had been holding out very little hope that Ahsoka had survived, but seeing the lightsabers, and I've talked about this, but the fact that he fixed her lightsabers from the end of season 5, because those are her lightsabers, and he fixed them, and they turned blue. That's a sign of his ego right there, perpetrating into her lightsabers because they were green. Yeah, and so that was his.
What did he even say? What did he say? Like, I upgraded them or something like that? 'Cause
yeah,
she gives that funny face when they light up, and like she's like,
I might have upgraded them. Yeah. No, it's completely his effect on her lightsabers that changes the color, but it's also his last ditch effort at protecting her because he cares so much about her, and so like he knows that she knows that she like that the fact that
like she knows he cares when he did that.
Yeah, and so she knows for a fact that she wouldn't just give them up randomly because they were from him.
Yeah.
And that, I think, helps sell the story for Vader thinking she's dead.
Well, then you get into Rebels, and like he's just so deep in his hatred there. Man, that's where they fight, and he's going after, and like, whew, like,
and
man,
you can tie that back into the ego, the fact that she left him. And granted, it was all for good choice, but the fact that she left and didn't
come back to him. Didn't come back to him after what he did for her. Yeah, and he just jumped that far. Man, there's a YouTube video, and like they cut together scenes of like their relationship from like the day he meets her till the day she leaves, and then they get into Rebels, and like there's flashbacks and voiceovers from a conversation where like the conversation where her and Barriss get trapped on that planet. She's like, I learned from the skills that you taught me, Master, and you know I'm good because you're good or whatever. Oh God, the music they play and they put flashbacks like, I watched it like I'm starting to tear up watching it, being like, oh my God, Anakin. You know what I mean? Like, oh man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great video out there, and I will try to find it. If anybody wants to know, let me know. Find it out there.
Well, I'll try to remember to make Nathan give me the link, so we'll drop it in the description box.
Okay, we might do that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We'll see how much I remember.
Right. But yeah, overall, like I think they closed it out very well.
It's absolutely seamless. It's a proper ending. And I think the only thing that I have questions about was does this Siege of Mandalore change if Disney says, okay, we know we just bought Star Wars and the Cartoon Network is going to end your run, basically. But we're gonna negotiate to fulfill the end of the season on Disney networks. And so this happens. Disney buys Star Wars in 2012. Clone Wars doesn't get canceled in 2012. You get Clone Wars Season 7 when it was meant to come out originally. Does the Siege of Mandalore change?
Absolutely. Everything changed because 7 years later, not to try to bring it into everything, but like the climate of the world around us changed. So it's definitely influenced media. And I mean, one small change, which it's nothing or whatever, but if you see those analytics from the Bad Batch, there's that one thing where they had a pinup of Padme in like a bikini on like one of their starfighters, you know, because George was real big into like the World War II stuff and the old fighters, and those guys would put pinups on their shit, to keep the morale up, to be like, look what we're fighting for, boys. I know it sounds all macho and dumb and old timey back then. You know what I mean? And like Disney took that off there, and I know it's just a dumb minor change, and that's the only one that comes to mind right now. But I'm just saying, yes, it would have been different. Like even the violence level might have been. You know what I mean? Like maybe they're not stunned. Maybe they're cutting through them back, or I just think yes, it would have been different because it had a lot more what George had intended, and the climate of everything else was different around it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and you know what I mean. And Disney has been Disney Plus, like they're editing episodes of like old shows that were like Disney, they blurring out cleavage from a show that's like with like teenage kids in it in like a high school and stuff. Like, really? Okay. You know what I mean?
I did actually see that was edited before it went on Disney Plus.
Okay. Oh, was it really? Okay, so
I saw that because I think if we're talking about the same show, I don't remember what show it was for.
I don't know, and like I said, I've been disconnected, and it was just something I didn't dive into it, but I just saw it, and I chuckled to myself, and I moved on with my life. But you know what I mean? Just so to get, like I said, I say a lot of words. To say, yes, I do think it would have been different.
Mm.
What about you? Do you think it would have been different? Do you think it would have been same Z's?
I think you could have been close. You wouldn't have had the same level of quality in the animation and everything, because obviously technology changes in 8 years or whatever it's been. Obviously you would have had Martez boy instead of Martez sisters. But ultimately, I think your biggest change is the Siege of Mandalore. I think the first 3 episodes stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't get Sam Witwer in there because he wasn't as prominent then. I don't know.
Right. Maybe Maul's not a part of the Siege. Maybe. I don't know.
But I think the biggest change comes into effect is that last episode where do you see Rex and Ahsoka go off together instead of seeing that burial scene and then going straight to Vader?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have rebels at that point, so you don't know what happened there.
Yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
I think because you have rebels, that last episode changed. How immensely?
Great point.
We won't know.
Point.
So
right, because we'd already seen the conclusion to those two, like their final meeting. You're right. You are right.
Yeah.
I don't care. I still loved it though.
Yes.
I love Clone Wars as a whole. I just love the series as a whole.
Yes, absolutely. Clone Wars is one of those things, and I've said this before about different things, but like Marvel, I can't ever pick a movie from Marvel that I just want to say, okay, yeah, I'm down. I want to go watch a Marvel movie and just pick one out of the blue. Star Wars, I could go watch Clone Wars and be a happy camper for all 7 seasons I watched. I could go watch Solo. I could go watch Rogue One. Heck, I could even go pick one of the trilogy movies. Probably Attack of the Clones.
I love Attack of the Clones, by the way.
Yeah.
And I can definitely find Marvel movies that I can just pick out and I like, because I do. But I know what you're saying. Like, I can jump in anywhere. Rebels, I can't say anywhere because Resistance, not my jam. But Clone Wars, Rebels, movies, one-offs, I can do it. The holiday special around Christmas time is a tradition in my house now. So, let's do this. The Ewok movies. But we digress.
That's it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think I don't have anything else, unless there's anything else you'd like to bring to the table and discuss.
I don't think so. We've been going
We've been chatting for a while. Yeah.
Hour 20 minutes. Good length right there.
Yeah.
So I have one final note for everyone who's listening. If you want us to tackle a topic, whether it be a movie or something, this is a bi-weekly episode, so we typically record about 2 weeks beforehand. It kind of depends on our schedule.
Sometimes a week. It'll just depend. Yeah. It just depends.
So
some of this news may be old. It may be new to you. If you haven't heard, it's new to you news.
We're always happy to talk about something that we missed. You want us to go back 2 years ago and talk about whatever. I don't really know. Like, just let us know. We're all
please
talk
send us
about something.
topics. Like I said, if you hear something in the off week, send it in to us, and we'll put it in the docket to discuss. And you'll get the episode, and then you'll get your answer. Maybe you know what I mean. If there's something you want us to put it in there, if it's a week or two old, you still want us to go back and hear us talk about it. If you want to hear about the production of a Force Awakens or a New Hope or whatever, just throw it in there, and I mean, we'll decide if we want to talk about it or not. No. we'll give it a once over.
Yeah. But I say all that, and Nathan and I say all that to say, what we'll probably end up doing is we'll probably have a poll for y'all to vote on what we'll cover. Not next episode, because again, we record 2 weeks in advance.
But next episode, sometimes a week in advance. Like I said, we're in advance. Okay, guys, we're in advance. Yeah,
we have busy lives, so what can we say? But definitely let us know what you'd like to see in the next couple episodes. The next topic of discussion is going to be new will be Thrawn Ascendancy in September, and then The Mandalorian is currently scheduled to come out in October. We don't know the exact date for that. But when that comes, we'll cover 2 episodes a week, each episode, basically.
You'll get our thoughts on it for sure.
You will, absolutely. But for now, let us know what you want to see in this hiatus between new Star Wars content. So.
Right. While we're in this lull of news and filming and stuff, let us know what you want to hear or see.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe hear since you're not watching us, because that sounded stupid when I said see. But anyway, go ahead. Signing off.
Yeah. Nathan, where can they find you on the Twitter?
You can find me bumming around Twitter at WobblyBoots85.
And you can find me on Twitter at KGirlShop13. You can find this podcast specifically on the Twitter as well. Star Wars Alliance without the A.
Yes.
In the wars. But if you look up Star Wars Alliance, you can find us. So, stupid Twitter and their username, maximum character amounts. You can find the Ultimate Alliance podcast network, the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network, where we are the Grand Army of the Republic podcasters, or whatever you want to call us. You can find that GUA Pod Network on Twitter, and you can also find us on Facebook, Geek Ultimate Alliance. Look us up. Leave us a review if you're feeling up to it. And on that note, have a great day or night, whatever time of day y'all are listening. And we'll see y'all next time.
May the Force be with you.